Joban bhai.
Good morning, respected dignitaries, officers, members of the universities, delegates, and my dear students. I, Dr. Jignesh Kevalia, Head, Department of Pharmacography, heartily welcome you all on behalf of entire IIAPS team on this 22nd Foundation Day's virtual celebration. It is well said that good beginning is half done, and one other truth is that
if you are blessed with good leader, then success is definite. So, is applicable to our institute. We are fortunate to have a beloved principal, Dr. Joban Moda sir, head of the institute and a person with absolute mission and visions institute at top level. Thus, I request Dr. Joban Moda sir to address this function.
Respected Vice Chancellor Shri Anup Thakur sir, Honorable Registrar sir, HP Jala, and listeners from all across the globe. On the occasion of 22nd Foundation Day of Indian Institute of Ayurvedic Pharmaceutical Sciences, I welcome you on behalf of Team IIAPS. In ancient time, Vaidyas used to prepare their medicine by their own, but in 19th and late 20th century, the scenario of entire world has changed by all means. Now Vaidyas are full-time practitioners and rarely gets time to prepare medicine after busy schedules of OPDs. Visionary Padma Shri Vaidya Kurup, PNV Kurup sir, observed that though there are more than 10,000 active Ayu pharma units, more than 10 lakhs Ayurvedic dispensaries, outlets and hospital all across India, we don't have a single Ayurved pharmacy college. So he founded Institute of Ayurvedic Pharmaceutical Sciences, then known as IAPS. Initially, the institution was started in the royal building of Dhanvantari Mandir, like almost all institutes of Jamnagar Ayurved campus. With the help of very few full-time faculties and visiting faculties like Professor R.R. Dwivedi ji, Subrata Day, Professor B. Ravi Shankar, APG Pillai, late Maltiben Chauhan, Siddhinandan Mishra ji, Damodar Joshi ji, Kokila Dave ji, and one of our speaker, Professor Anand Chaudhary. This institution was started. Later, Professor A.J. Bakshi joined as full-time dean for the institute, and under his guidance, the institute flourished like anything. Right from the first year, we got students from all over India, and all seats were getting full. I can proudly say that now our alumni are working almost in all type of posts all across the country. Our alumni are serving as chief of raw material purchase manager in many leading companies, as pharmacists in almost all National Institute connected hospitals, be it IPGT and RA or All India Institute of Ayurved or even newly opened institute at Guwahati. Our alumni are serving as quality control expert, quality assurance expert, production manager, and in the marketing field, most of the best Ayurvedic pharmacies. As research scientist in CCRS units, as formulation developer in many leading companies, as drug inspectors and other posts in many states, as faculties in most of the Ayurvedic pharmacy colleges. Not only that, our students also are entrepreneurs and developing job opportunities for others as well. So I dare to quote that every second or third Ayurvedic product in the market is directly or indirectly influenced by IIAPS alumni. In the era of Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha ji, around 2013 to 2016, our syllabus and teaching pattern is followed by almost all the Ayurvedic pharmacy colleges in India. Padma Shri Vaidya Rajesh Kotecha ji understood the importance of this institute as national leader in the field of Ayurvedic pharmacy education. And that's how we renamed this institute as Indian Institute of Ayurvedic Pharmaceutical Sciences. now known as IIAPS, and submitted a project to recognize this institute as Institute of National Importance. Even though there are unlimited scope, we are facing challenges as well. Even after 70 plus years of independence, we don't have any Ayush Pharmacy Council in existence. We do not have any council to regulate our education. So our Vice Chancellor Shri Anup Thakurji suggested to organize such an online event in this COVID-19 era with this title Ayurvedic Pharmacy Education, Scope and Challenges, and invited the best of the speakers in the field in entire country. Professor Anand Chaudhary, ex-visiting faculty, then is now one of the biggest name in educational field. As I have heard from some of our seniors that Professor Chaudhary is not just a name, he is an institution himself. He has witnessed the progress of IIAPS since beginning. So we invited him to speak on academic view. Respected Ranjit Puranik ji is one of the owner of one of the oldest Ayurved pharmacy in India and chairing many of national and international level posts in various boards and associations, and he knows the core of the industry. So we invited him to throw some light on industrial view. And who can be better person other than Dr. DC Katoj, who can guide us for the regulatory review. He is chairing entire nation as far as Ayurvedic pharmacy regulation is concerned. So I am very happy and feel very proud to have such expert panel of speakers today with us. Once again, I welcome all of you on the behalf of team IIAPS. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sir,
sir.
for representing IIAPS by your valuable words. Now, moving onwards, it is said that in our country, we always respect our elders and their blessings are important to us. Maintaining the same culture, Vice Chancellor is stated to be the pillar of this university. So I request Dr. Anup Thakur, sir, Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Ayurved University, Jamnagar, to bless this function. Anup, sir.
Uh, Respected advisor, Dr. DC Katot sir. Today is our guest speaker, Shri Ranjit Puranik ji, who is the one of the renowned person in the field of the pharmaceutical, and my dear friend, Professor Anand Chaudhary ji, uh, for I think for whom I need not to introduce anything. Our registrar, Shri Jalaji, principal, Dr. Joban Modha, who is young and energetic and enthusiastic, and team IAPS. I congratulate all on this occasion of 22nd, foundation day of IAPS. And it is a matter of proud for me because I am also a part of this journey, directly or indirectly at certain level. I was attached with, because all the friends are attached with that. So how I can be aloof than that institute? So since this inception by Dr. Kurup, I'm attached with this institute by this mean or that mean, and I am also witness of growing of the institute, how it started in with basics, and then it was a struggling for a certain time in some era that whether this institute should be run or not, and then from that it came out, become self finance, and then flourishing like anything. And today it has very deep roots, and 20 years in a field nowadays, it's not a small time. No, I won't say that it is a very big time, but it's not even small time period. 2 decades. Since 2 decades, it's in the field. And as Dr. Joban rightly said, that east or west or north or south, wherever you go in the pharmaceutical company, where somewhere you will find alumni of this institute in the pharmacy field of the pharmacy. That is the credit of this institute. And today, even from all the part of the country students are studying in this institute for the pharmacy science. And this COVID era particularly has created a boom in the field of the Ayurvedic pharmaceutical sciences. Dr. Moda yesterday was telling to me that there is a delay in the exam due to this COVID. So there is a request from the industry, from some pharmaceutical companies, that if you conduct the exam earlier, we will get the manpower. Please do something. So that is the credit of the institute. And even in the official circle also, now it has get recognition. It is going to be INI, as our beloved secretary Vaidya Rajesh Kotechaji, when he was here, he pushed a lot. He had a vision that there is a future in this college and in this faculty, and so he tried to push it hard. And at that time, also Government of India, I think Dr. Katoch is there, and he is well aware of all these things, that to try get the recognition at the national level of this institute was done at that time also. And now, uh, due to efforts of the institute and our secretary sir and all together, all the ministry together, identified the potency, and now it is a part of going to be a part of INI. That is the really a credit for the institute. Within 20 years, going to up to this level is not a small achievement. And I congratulate the institute for this thing. Uh, the subject scope and challenges is very relevant today, because there is vast scope in front of Ayurvedic pharmaceutical sciences. Of course, Rasha Shastra as a PG, MD Rasha Shastra, it has its own scopes and futures. But pharmacy as a pharmaceutical sciences, pharmacy is still very underdeveloped field, and it requires a lot of development. Whatever the changes our Honorable Prime Minister is looking in the field of our pharmaceutical sciences, that only can come true if our pharmaceutical field is made strong and robust. Then only it is possible, and there are a lot of scope and chances and future in the development of this field. It's upcoming, and challenges, of course, are huge. Challenges are there, from the regulation, beginning from the regulation to the implementation, and getting united and come under one roof and behave in a one direction, like modern pharmaceutical science is behaving. Many issues are there. People are preparing still medicine at home and selling it, and all things to bring under the regulation, and to create the regulations and all that things. It's not a small thing. So there are a lot of challenges, but that is not my subject. I think experts are there. If I say something in deep, I think I may be wrong. So without delaying and without taking much time, I would like to welcome again all three distinguished our guests and speaker today to join with us. And again, I congratulate Institute for organizing this wonderful webinar on this occasion. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your inspirational speech, sir. Now, it is with pleasure that I now invite our Registrar Shri H.P. Jala, sir, for his message on this occasion. Registrar, sir.
Namaskar. Indian Institute of Ayurvedic Pharmaceutical Science ના સ્થાપના 22મા સ્થાપના દિવસે આપણે ભેગા થયા છીએ. આજના સ્થાપના દિવસ નિમિત્તે નેશનલ વેબિનાર સેમિનારનું આયોજન થયું છે અને માનનીય કુલપતિ શ્રી એબી ઠાકર સાહેબના અધ્યક્ષ પદે તેમજ આપણા એક્સપર્ટ તરીકે ઉપસ્થિત એવા આયુર્વેદ એડવાઇઝર શ્રી DC કટોચ સાહેબ, તેમજ બનારસ હિન્દુ યુનિવર્સિટીના
ઝાલા સાહેબ આપનો
પ્રોફેસર
વિડિયો ઓફ છે, જરા ઓન કરી દેજો.
તેમજ ધૂત પાપેશ્વરમાંથી શ્રી રંજીત પુરાણિક સર આપણી સાથે છે, તજજ્ઞ તરીકે ઉપસ્થિત છે. આ સાથે IIAPS ના પ્રિન્સિપાલ જોબન મોઢા સર તેમજ IIAPS ની પૂરી ટીમ. જેમ આપણે જાણીએ છીએ કે IIAPS જે આપણી ગુજરાત આયુર્વેદ યુનિવર્સિટીની એક કોન્સ્ટિટ્યુટ કોલેજ તરીકે 1999 થી એટલે કે 22મો આપણે સ્થાપના દિવસ મનાવી રહ્યા છીએ. અને આ કોલેજમાં ડીફાર્મ અને બીફાર્મના કોર્સીસ ચાલે છે. અને આ પ્રથમ એવી કોલેજ છે કે જે ભારતભરમાં કોર્સ શરૂ કરેલો છે. અને આ કોર્સ પછી પોસ્ટ ગ્રેજ્યુએશનમાં આપણે એમફાર્મ અને MSc તદુપરાંત PhD કક્ષાના કોર્સીસ પણ આપણે ચલાવી છે. અને આ જ કોલેજ આપણી બોર્ડ ઓફ આયુર્વેદ ફાર્મસી દ્વારા તૈયાર થયેલ સિલેબસ ભારતભરની બીજી અન્ય ફાર્મસી કોલેજોમાં પણ ચલાવવામાં આવે છે. તો એક આયુર્વેદની મોડેલ કોલેજ તરીકે આપણે સ્થાપના કરેલ છે અને હજી ચાલી રહી છે. તો આજના દિવસે બધાને ખૂબ અભિનંદન આપી છે અને આ જ પ્રમાણે વધારેમાં વધારે સારી પ્રગતિ કરે એવી શુભેચ્છા પાઠવું છું. આભાર.
Thank you for your blessings, sirs. Now, moving ahead of the session, dear people, nowadays getting your work done or performing any tasks online have become an incumbent part of our life in this pandemic age. Following the same approach, we have organized a webinar on this event topic entitled Ayurved Pharmacy Education, its scope and challenges in recent time. And amongst us, we have three renowned personalities who are paramount in their respective field. After the completion of this oration, I am sure majority of our doubts will be cleared regarding Ayurved pharmacy, whether it concerns to its regulatory aspects or academic point of views or present industrial needs. So let's get started. And to begin with, ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker is a very popular personality in Ayurved. He is a former faculty of RS and BK Department IPT Tenare, as well as visiting faculty of IIAPS, Gujarat Ayurved University, Jamnagar. And currently, he is head Department of RS and BK, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. He has various laurels to his credit, such as nominated member of reputed committees like Ayush Ministry, Ayurvedic Drug Licensing Committee, as well as conducted projects of WHO and lead the Indian delegation in BIMSTEC Conference, Bangkok, Thailand at international level. Moreover, he is awarded for the best teacher in drug research teaching CCRS Ayush, ISTAM India Award, Zandu Award by SFE Kolkata. To break your curiosity, let me introduce his name. He is none other than students' favorite, Professor A.K. Chaudhary sir. I request Chaudhary sir to give a speech on academic point of views of Ayurved pharmacy education. Chaudhary sir, please.
Thanks, Eolia, for your nice words for introduction. But my introduction is simply in the one line that I am a student of Ayurvedic pharmaceutics, the namely Rasas and the Vaisesik Kalpana. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Anup Thakur, we have started our academic journey at 1 year and at one place, and we are reciprocating each other in the development of Ayurveda and individually too. So I'm proud of you, Professor Anup Thakur. First time publicly I am addressing you, Honorable Vice Chancellor, and this is my proud privilege to address you with this designation, which is a dream of any academic person. Dr. D.C. Katoch, sir, yes, from my studenthood, I'm learning from him. Even just 4 or 5 days also, one presentation, and he pointed that, Anand, if it is like that, it will much be better. So I salute you, sir, Dr. D.C. Katoch, sir, for giving me all the training and the guidance in the field of the drug development and the drug regulation. And of course, my co-speaker, Mr. Ranjit Puranikji, with whom I have traveled abroad, Sri Lanka, and a lot of issues we have discussed during those days. And even we are daily meeting with each other on Twitter account and We are exchanging our views. So I'm really thankful to the IIAPS for including me in this galaxy. Of course, our principal, Dr. Joban Moda, who is a really very energetic and dynamic and who is arranging all these things, and the team IIAPS. I remember names of every one of you and all learned audience all across the globe. Yes, I just extend my best wishes to you all. And just in the next 30 minutes, I am going to speak something about what is the education of the Ayurvedic pharmaceutics and how we can proceed for the all the things which are required for our improvement and the advancement. So if you see here, my dear friends, my slides have two things. And one is from the just everything which is here, I have quoted, or the just origination of the last 1 week. Nothing is old. And as Dr. Jovan was saying that if something in a brand, I'm having something like this enthusiasm in the academics. What is recent, I would like to talk about that. See, this is the New England Journal of the Medicine, and here was one topic under the categories of the perspective that the beyond a moment, recognizing with our history and embracing anti-racism in the medicine. The context of this write-up is different, but it is very much having analogous with we all. See, where people talk about the this is something this is not good about the Ayurvedic medicine, or Ayurvedic medicines are not so developed as the modern medicine or the allopathic system of the medicine, like that. We heard about all that. Have you thought about it? How it happened? Principal Dr. Moda pointed out that there was a feel that it must be like that every school of the Ayurvedic pharmacy. I'm just raising a submission, not a question, but this is my submission. I'm putting before you all very humbly, all Ayurvedists, that whether any asthan in the Brihatrei, Charak Sangita, Sushrut Sangita, or the Ashtanga Hridaya, about totally dedicated to the Ayurvedic pharmaceutics? The answer is big no. There are the everything Sutrastan, Chikitsastan, Nidanastan, Vimanistan, Indriyastan, Siddhistan. Kalpastan is there something, but that kalp is not what is the kalpana. So my submission to you all that there was a no separate section about even the nomenclature of the chapters on the Ayurvedic pharmaceutics. Our first reference book is the Sarangar Sangita, where we got a full section, Madhyam Khand, with the nomenclature of the chapters. Names are very important. If you see the names of our all Samhitas, they are the names of the dosage forms are there in the Sarangar Sangita. So our origin is just how much we are 2000 years we have established just into the 11th, 12th century like that, right? In the Sangita period. So this is a variation of the 300 year about the period too, but I'm not going into that discussion. So simply I wish to say here that our existence in the main Ayurvedic literature is after a gap of 2000 years approximately. So whatever the things, whatever the principles has been developed into the diagnosis or the treatment part, we are not getting that much attention. I mean the pharmaceutic parts. So here is something racism. This is the reference what I am putting here. If you see the budget allocation of the different Ayurvedic institutions and the budget allocated to the Department of Rasas and the physical, now I'm not talking about now the IAPS or the pharmaceutical sciences. I'm talking about the branch which is supposed to do the works of the Ayurvedic pharmaceutics in this branch. So no, we have not been properly nourished. This is the fact. But we have a hope. On the 29th July, the new education policy is talking about the equality, and the ensuring equality is the second slide what I'm just posting before you. That I hope this equality sensation will be applicable to the Ayurvedic pharmaceutics also, and we may develop ourselves at par to the modern medicine pharmaceutics, which is developing in a separate branch. So here if you see the chronology, yes, Dr. Joban, I also do agree with up to yesterday that Dr. PNV Kurup sir is this pharmacy course is the brainchild of the Professor Kurup sir. But I was corrected by Professor Shiv Kumar Mishra sir. He said me that no, it is the vision of Professor P.M. Mehta, and he wanted to establish this Ayurvedic college, and which was carried out by the Professor P.N.V. Kurup. Okay, we are not going to decide whether the Professor P.M. Mehta was the first or the Professor P.N. Kurup was the first, but Professor P.N.V. Kurup is credited for the establishment of all these, and you have told all the history of its development. Here at Banaras University in 2006, that Professor Punjab Singh was the vice chancellor, and here is the south campus, 80 kilometers from Varanasi in the Barkacha, Mirzapur district. And there he developed a lot of courses. Just I'm telling you, where 20 people are not residing in the 2006. Now 2,000 people are there with the courses of the pharmacy, management, and the veterinary sciences. This is the vision of the Professor Punjab Singh, and who established the Ayurvedic pharmaceutical courses at Barkacha, followed by many. The lovely professional university, Jalandhar, Prashanti, Kerala, and the Jadavpur University. It was true. I congratulate the Jamnagar is the here, which just having the pioneer credit of contributory credit of this course. So why this course was established? It was simply to establish a separate division of pharmacy in Ayurveda. Why it was needed? Because people were worrying that the quality, safe, and efficacious Ayurvedic medicines, as per the doctrines of the Ayurveda, as per the all the fundamentals, the basics of the Ayurveda for the pharmaceutics should be respected. It is not the prepare a tablet or the capsule or the any syrup and having a label of the Ayurveda, but there was a need the person who has been trained into the Ayurvedic philosophy of the treatment and the doctrines, and then certainly making all that into the form of a medicine with the Ayurvedic guidelines. So this was the purpose. Another was that to invent advanced drug delivery system in the Ayurveda, because see, really we have advanced, and credit goes to the industry, credit goes to the different industry who invented the science into the Ayurvedic pharmaceutics. Of course, some credit to the academia, but major credit is to the industry. So here they have started making a different dosage forms of the Ayurveda, keeping the Ayurvedic principles alive, and they developed many things, even from the Himalayan and the Ayurveda, Shalakotikal and the Dhupapeshwar and the Solimix, Dabur, Vednath. Many. Everyone is now in the line, and they are preparing a good advanced dosage form of the Ayurveda. But here is the need some more system in the Ayurveda cope up the contemporary demand. Somebody say, well, why the parentals are not permissible into the Ayurveda? I'm not going to discuss this question. It is a regulatory question and having some academic values too. But only the parental dosage form is not, but the another they have developed because they applied science. In the 1851 they have made a first single tablet, but today they are making 1 lakh tablets into the 5 minutes with a variation of the 5%. That this is possible. They have developed a lot of forms of the dosage forms from nasal, many things like that. Why not those dosage forms are into the Ayurvedic pharmaceutics, keeping Ayurvedic fundamentals intact. And yes, the COVID and the many things our honorable Prime Minister are asking every time when he addressed to the nation and the Man Ki Baat that even the Indian global Indian meet back into the 10 days in the July, he said that the traditional medicine and the Ayurveda yoga is the demand at the global, and then we have to cope up this global demand. And for that, there is a need of the persons who are acquainted with all these things. So, what is the contemporary conditions? I'm very happy when Principal Dr. Moda was talking, and Dr. Kevalia was also endorsing, and I too know that products of the Jamnagar School of the Pharmaceutical Sciences are serving country in a good capacity in all forms. But there is a rare example of the one. If you see all the colleges of the who are have universities who are having the B Pharma Ayurved, what is their status? where they are lying, whether the courses are full, the seats are full, or the courses are uh, at the just and the end, or the people are thinking how to close it, or like that. Many things are going on in the different institutions of Ayurvedic pharmaceutical sciences. Yes, Jamnagar is doing perfectly, but this is not true for everyone. I can say that even the Jalandhar is also working well, but there is a big but, and the academic standards of the product of all in totality, and their analytical acumen, their production managership acumen, their regulatory knowledge, and the research orientation is the most important to develop anything into the Ayurvedic pharmaceutics. And these things are like this, that no, I can't say that everything is going on in a perfect line, and the rare things never made examples. The IAPS Jamnagar standard, the whole team started from a small room of the Department of Dress Science. When I joined, our head said that these two rooms are being allocated to the uh, IAPS, so you will visit into this museum. Okay, fine. So this is the introduction of pharmaceutical science with me, and then now the Zamal building and the many new buildings and the many new hostels. This is the progress story, and I congratulate once again to the whole Jamnagar team. In fact, for such a development of a pharmaceutical course with all infrastructures and all the syllabi. But I can say it with my full integrity that the situation is not very green for every college and for every institution. There is something where is the need of reform and on all these standards here. The new education policy is here, and once again I say that here is a probability that something may be good for us also. So the syllabus strength, Jamnagar team, yes, Jamnagar team was made the syllabus at that time. Once again I repeat, Professor Damodar Joshi, and Professor R. R. Dwivedi, Professor M. S. Baghel, Professor S. M. Chandula, Dr. V. Ravisankar, Dr. Subrate, the whole team. And of course, I myself, Dr. Anup Thakur, and many more of our friends are just cooperating on all this motion and of the Professor Kurup, our Honorable Vice Chancellor at that time. So if you see here, I have just divided the Ayurvedic proportion of the syllabus of the B form and the M form, the Ayurvedic pharmacy proportion, the modern science proportion, the modern pharmacy proportions, and here we have a very lot of academic discussions for years at that time. And every time Professor Kurup sir was having the deciding voice at that time, and there was a big equal division. But there was a something which I believe, and I just very humbly put before everyone, that the teaching of the BAMS and the teaching of the B Pharm Ayurved is entirely should be different. It should be entirely different. The same tone of the BMS where you are going to produce a clinician, and the tone in the B Pharma Ayurved where you are going to produce a pharmacist may not tally in the 100% equality. So Ayurvedic knowledge is must there. Modern science is also must there. But every Ayurvedic knowledge there should be in having the orientation of the pharmacy. It is not like that every time they are the need of the full Sanskrit and the Samhita and the synonyms, which is must for a BAMS, that may be must for that may be equally beneficial for the B Pharma Ayurveda graduates. So my humble submission is here that here is a need of relook of the proportion, and certainly time to time it is going on. So the placement prospect, it has been said like this, but the fact is this, that the initially, even after this 20 year, the industries are not very much coming forward to absorb the graduates of the B Pharma Ayurveda of the every place. Mind my language, the every place. Here, I am very happy that the Vice Chancellor got a call that to finish the examination of the final year early, so that they may able to get the manpower. Of course, the Supreme Court also decided yesterday that everyone has to be appear in the examination. There will be no general promotion into the final year. But this is not the case for everywhere. Because the industry demand a person is who is much beneficial to the industry, not a person on the roll for the regulatory affair, for the regulatory meaning, no, a really skilled person. My dream is this: we should have a syllabus, we should have just a thinking that industry should think that if a product of the B Pharma Ayurved will not be in my company, I'm going to lose the race. So that may be the ideal phase of the our Ayurvedic pharmaceutical courses. Just the people are thinking that a person of the Naipur or the person of the Mumbai College of the Pharmacy or the person of the Ahmedabad Pharmacy, and people are having a lot of demand for these products. The Ayurvedic companies and as well as other who are thinking about the herbal section must be just searching the where are the good pharma Ayurved products or the pharma Ayurved products. Academic position, the temporary and the permanent, it is very clear that the very few positions are available permanently, and I can say that at the most places the ad hocism is on. The regular employee as an university is very rare. Somewhere in the Jalandhar, in the BHU also, but the only 6-7 posts are there in the BHU. And I know about the Jadavpur University. There are also some regular employees at par to all the UGC scale and the many things more. But at many positions, it is like that something which is not appreciable and which reduce the zeal and enthusiasm of a teacher. So it should be also addressed that the teachers of the Ayurvedic pharmaceutical colleges should be treated at par to the every teacher, another teacher of Ayurvedic college or the medical college or whatsoever the discipline of the knowledge, and at the UGC scale. The regulator responsibility, the drug inspector, of course, the drug inspector. I remember there was a position advertisement where it was written the B Pharma Ayurved, but it is not common in every state. And here I request Dr. DC Kato sir, as he notified just yesterday in the public, but it is the notification of the 28th July, that for any clinical trial research of the COVID-19, they have to take approval. State licensing authorities have to take approval from the drug policy section of the Ministry of Ayush, which is being headed by the Dr. Katoch. Yes, really good. In the same thing, there is a need of a letter from the drug policy section of the Ministry of Ayush to every state that they should create a positions of the drug inspector, and where must be the essential qualification about this M-Pharma Ayurved at least. And then the research organizations are just needed for the patent and the proprietary products or the new drug delivery system. And one more field is coming, very promising field is coming up, the CRO, contract research organization, or the site management officer in the clinical trials. A lot of clinical trials are being held, and now this is the concept that the principal investigator is being contracted by the CRO, which has been allotted at the national level, then the SMO. And here in the Banaras University, my experience is that every SMO or the CRO are mostly the B form and the M form of the modern science. So here I also look forward, if this in these clinical trials, with these clinical trainings, the B Pharma Ayurved graduates and the M Pharma Ayurved graduates should have an entry into the CRO and the, as a SMO for the Ayurvedic clinical trials of this thing. The educational legal landmarks are the new education policy is here, and everything is going to be changed in this country from 10 plus 2 to the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 and this 18 year. So we see a probability that there will be progress, and the existing pattern of the Ayurvedic pharmacy education is about the D Pharma. It was closed into the Jamnagar, it was closed into the UP, it was back 20, 30, 40 years before it was there. And the B Pharma Ayurved is going on and Pharma Ayurved is going on, but in a very selected places, they are not able to. This is the conflict of interest when I say they are not able to produce enough amount of the graduates. But this is also true that their demand is not so much. and so products of many colleges are not properly placed. So if you see the legal position, then due to this RRR, I'm coming on the next slide. Due to there is something which is going on, which I just invited the attention of everyone there. The PhD is also available, and the many students of doing the PhD and from the another branches like the rasas, the interdisciplinary things, and they have been employed. One at the National Institute of Ayurveda, PhD product of the Jamnagar as a pharmacy manager, and here also in the Banaras Hindu University also, and the other places also, the M Pharma Ayurveda graduates are having the PhD degrees respectively. If you come to the UGC, our the position, the AICT, PCI, and the CCIM, all these things, just for the knowledge, for the regulators and everyone who is hearing, that what is the real condition. The UGC has recognized B Pharma Ayurveda degree back in 1965. It is placed on the degree list 127 if my memory is with me. But M Pharma Ayurveda is not till date. Be careful. The AICT said, no, this is not in our domain. PCI wanted to take the B Pharma Ayurveda course and the M Pharma Ayurveda course simultaneously started there at the Jamnagar. But Professor Kurup just rebutted their claim, no, we will run our course separately, not under domain of the PCI. But the PCI did the same thing. They have introduced a lot of curriculum in the herbal medicine and the many things in their B Pharm final year. And initially in the Jamnagar, everyone is knowing the first 2-3 batches of the M Pharma Ayurveda was having the B form of the modern medicine, modern science. The CCIM is now again, it is under the board of governors and many things more, but they are also not very keen to carry out this. And of course, the Indian Medicine and the Homeopathy Pharmacy Bill 2002 is going to the Rajya Sabha and the Privilege Committee and this, and the Ministry of Ayush is pursuing this, and hopefully, as principal informed during a formal discussion, that the 2020 will be the period when it will be notified. And see here, just today, it is come, if you see the, just the clip what I have added from the print, the NEP plans to integrate Ayush and the new education policy, Ayush and the modern medicine. Allopathy, it produce official quacks. See, everywhere we are being opposed. Remember my first slide of the New England Journal of the Medicine. The racism. The people of this country having this knowledge of the conventional system of the medicine, of the allopathy, or the bio, I can say the modern bio medical system, but they are not ready to accept our existence. They are not ready to accept this Indian knowledge. They have a lot of kinds of the prejudice. And see, just 2 days after the NEP and the 17.4 of the new education policy, my dear friends, write down the 17.4 column of the new education policy and go through that. And that is promoting the interaction. But here, the opposition is already ready, and all these are the persons of the IMA. And at the same time, the PCI was not ready to give a nod to the B Pharma Ayurveda and the F Pharma Ayurveda. And they are planning to, I can't say it, but a teacher, university teacher is free to say something as per the laws. Here is those people, and those people are behind the not notification of the Indian medicine and the homeopathy pharmacy bill, but because the PCI people don't want, and a teacher can say, so I am saying. What is the contribution of these things? Yes, everyone is knowing, but just here I am taking it in on record. The whole Senate and the syndicate of the Gujarat Ayurveda University, right from the 1998, which is just supporting this Indian Institute of the Ayurvedic Pharmaceutical Sciences. Really, there is a need of applause for the whole administrative structure, academic structure of the Gujarat Ayurveda University. Of course, the Banaras Hindu University, which was introduced into 2006, and the academic bodies of the lovely foremost professional university and the Jadavpur University. My knowledge is up to this. Some other universities are also in the Rohtak running for the course, but what is the situation at the moment? I could not collect the information. Friends, here I am just inviting your 2-minute time on the master degree nomenclature. Here, the Gujarat University is giving M Pharma, Pharmacognosy, M Pharma, Pharmacology, M Pharma QC, M Pharm Rasas, M Pharm Drug. But in the Banaras University, when the M Pharma course was started in 2007, and I joined here in 2006. And when I say that it should be like the M Pharm, like all these 5 super specialties there, but the somehow my teachers, yes, I can say my teachers are not accepted this idea. What is the loss of this idea that even just in 2019 there was a recruitment at the RGSC Barkacha for the B Pharma Ayurved course, and there was a discipline M Pharma Ayurved Rasas and the Vesage Kalpana, and none of that particular discipline had applied. And M Pharma Ayurved only plain. See, there is no MA. There is always a specialty, no MSc. There is always a division. But here the M Pharma Ayurved and the forms were rejected. And unfortunately, no one from the M Pharma Ayurved Rasas and the Vesage Kalpana applied for that post of the assistant professor here. And but that was of the reserve category, and that may be the one reason candidates were not eligible for that particular post. So the contribution of the universities are very high, and specifically of the Gujarat Ayurveda University into the development of this course. And my friends, here if you see here, these two, the cabinet approves confirming the status of the institution of the national importance to the cluster of Ayurvedic institution. Here I dream that the Naipir of the Ayurveda will be developed and into the form of a IAPS with all that particular structures and the fundamentals like the Naipir SAS Nagar, Chandigarh, or the different NIPers who are working 6 or 7 into the field of the modern pharmacy. So why not NIPer standards should be given? It is the Institute of the National Importance, but the all infrastructures what the pharma business is also covering, and that is the current situation here academically. The placement legal mark, again, this is a very issue in the academia. Whatever the course you are running, what is the ultimate result, where your products are being absorbed. So the production manager, of course, somewhere it is going on. Drug inspector, not always. As a teacher, very less opportunity. As a researcher, more or less opportunity. You can develop anything like that, but as you wish. Anyone can having the entrepreneurship or the startup thinking like that, they may do. And here see, it is a press release of the Ayush Ministry of the National Ayush Mission, and all this operationalization of the Ayush Health and the Wellness Centers. Here I also see a opportunity for the B Pharma graduates. If the National Ayush Mission, there, if something will be planned, and in that way that along with the BAMS, one centers on a cluster or individualized, that the B Pharma Ayurved graduates may be absorbed into the National Ayush Mission, and that will be the great help for the placement of our graduates in this direction. And this notification is just 2 days back from the Ministry of Ayush. It was the day before yesterday, released by Honorable Minister Sripad Naikji and Honorable Secretary Ved Rajesh Kotechaji. The compulsory component under the Rule 157. Dr. D.C. Katos, sir, I respectfully invite your attention. If you see there, the R, the BAMS R, the BSc R, the BSc experience R, lastly then 2004 B Pharma Ayurved. Sir, here I request you, that should be limited to the only two, the BAMS and B Pharma Ayurved, because the B Pharma Ayurved at the moment whatever the colleges are having can't produce that much amount of the product. But the BAMS in the countries are coming a lot, and that was when made into the 1984 when it was introduced, or the 64, 62, like all those that time. At that time it was necessary because BMS graduates were very less, and so the BSc Botany and the BSc Chemistry was given under the Rule 157. There is a need of, and of course you have taken it in your consideration and you are doing for this, that maybe only two, that is the BAMS or B Pharma Ayurved. And this oblique M Pharma Ayurved and the MD Ayurved, B Pharma Ayurved, or the BAMS, it needs also consideration because there is something which is overlapping. So it may be, yes, every pharmacy graduate of Ayurveda must say thanks to the Dr. D.C. Katoch, because in the 12th February 2019 notification of the drug panel, he given the third member like that out of the four members of state licensing authority, that Rasa of Vasaskapna oblique master of the pharmacy in Ayurveda. The existence is there. It is coming slowly and slowly. And of course, good days are waiting for us. If you come to the UPSC and the PSCs of the different states and the university and the CCRS, here I have to mention, and all the persons who are at the different pharmaceutical colleges from their vice chancellors to write to the Union Public Service Commission for the addition of this qualification of the B Pharma Ayurved and Pharma Ayurved to all these posts. And for the drug inspector and for the pharmacy manager of Ayurveda, yes, one person is there at Mohan. And for the teaching paraphernalia, just I given you the example of the BHO. It is like that there must be something. This and the research officer, CCRS has the research officer Ayurveda, research officer chemistry, research officer pharmacognosy. Why not there must maybe a research officer Ayurvedic pharmacy, and for which the qualification should be there in Pharma Ayurved. Of course, CCRS has given opportunities in the different projects to the B Pharma Ayurved graduates, but it is coming on to the permanency level, commissioned officers of the army like that position, which is the master and like research officer Ayurvedic pharmacy. See here, this is the editorial of the Hindu, which is saying the adopting public system approach to the COVID-19. The publics, we should be to the public. Public should know here is a degree known as the B Pharma Ayurved, M Pharma Ayurved, and they are master of the Ayurvedic pharmaceutic. They are the need of the public for the service of the quality drugs. This is something which is required. The placement in the industry, yes. Now it is the pessimistic, because many people talk about this, and they question on the ability, suitability, equitability, and the adaptability. But the opportunities are also in here. If you see on the screen that this is the right of the 2018. This is the only one screenshot which I have taken old, because the heading is "Are Ayurvedic pharmacy programs derailed?" and this is a big column. Yes, the PCI person and the pharma base is there, and they are saying that this program is not serving. But I contradict it. I protest it very humbly. No, it is not like that. The organizations like IAPS Jamnagar are producing well worth products, and they are serving the country. But the opportunities are there. But from many places, this question exists. The product's ability, suitability, and adaptability to the industry is under question. But here we have the bright, brilliant bachelors, and that must be the inventive and the innovative. They must be progressive and the productive. They must be thinking beyond boundaries and the out of the box thinking. Whenever I visit Jamnagar and when I interact with the faculty there at the IIAPS, certainly I have felt that zeal and enthusiasm. And here see the lovely professional university and the products of the Pharma Ayurved of the Jamnagar, and here Dilip Singh Baghel and Saurabh Singh Baghel, they published this paper back 4 days. And really such kind of the things are required, and which may give a new height to all these Ayurvedic pharmaceutical courses. The futuristic plans are like this. The Ayurvedic medicinal products are booming, no doubt about it. The herbal products are the herbal mineral products are also. There are some question, and here the MD or the CEO of the Doodh Papeshwar, their contribution to the herbal mineral products are matchless, and the market is now being served by their products, because the quality, safety, and the efficacy. I congratulate MD Ranjit Puranik for this credit of the Doodh Papeshwar. Then here, if you see the Ayurvedic dietary products and the Ayurvedic cosmetic products, Ayurvedic FMCG market, and this all these things, when we are thinking that the education policy will be different, and this new education policy, the skill is the most important, and that pattern we have to also change the syllabus by which this transitionary phase will be over, and we will get in new things in our system. So here is the need. And see here, the second screen is about the career in Ayurvedic pharmaceutical sciences. Here it is a site, Frontier Pharma, and I got this clip from that side. That place, Pharma Blaze, is saying that this is the derailed, but here they are saying it is the career which is awaiting. The way out, other friends, are simply the Economic Times coverage that why the HUL, Patanjali, Dabur are taking a crack at the material for Ayurvedic and the herbal products. This cannot be completed, and it may not be the universal if there will not be pharma Ayurvedic products. And of course, these are the big players having more than the 1,000 crore rupees of the big, and certainly these things may be more. And if you see the paper of our department published in 2019, Trends in the Ayurvedic FMC market, go through this paper and it will guide our all graduates. So the admirable advances which should be there, the change in the syllabus of the B Pharma Ayurveda as per the new education policy and the vision and the mission of the country. Changes in the syllabus of the Pharma Ayurveda, this is also must. There must be emphasis on the drug development. There must be emphasis on the new drug delivery system. There must be emphasis on the quality, safety, and efficacy of Ayurvedic medicine. Emphasis on the regulatory affairs too, and the emphasis on the marketing and the surveillance. And my conclusion is this: please read it on the screen, then you will get it. The qualified scholastic scholars of the Bachelor Master in Ayurvedic Pharmacy are splendid skill for global acceptance of the Ayurveda, the Institute of the National Importance. To take lead, you are taking lead. You are leader already, but you have to take a lead to achieve it in accordance with the policies of the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. So the remarkable rationale is here. This paper of the IJPS is just into the December 2019 challenges and the prospective solution in the non-classical herbal formulation. Here is the PNP, and this writer must, it should be discussed with all the faculty there, and it is giving a new way. And this PCMH, which is director is now Dr. DC Katoch himself, and here the place where we can see for the good things for the Ayurvedic medicines. And in the end, really, I'm very much thankful to the you all, Professor Anup Thakur, the Vice Chancellor, Gujarat Ayurveda University, Dr. Joban Moda, the principal, and all my colleagues, and all the listeners who are just audience. And you are welcome for any query. And see here the new building of the IPGTR and the renovated building of the double IAPS. I wish you all the best. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Professor Anand Chaudhary, sir. It was really a pleasure to listen your precious, precise, and ground the point observation in pinpoint direction. As our principal sir earlier said, that yes, that is 100% true that Professor Anand Kumar Chaudhary is not just a person, but an institution himself. The intensity of your enthusiasm during the entire speech was just eye-opening for all of us. And I'm sure all the listeners have taken note of your each and every word. Sir, in the beginning of your presentation, your submission, since from Brihatrayi and Laghutrayi, was very much a point. It is a point to be observed that actually Rash Shastra Vaishajya Kalpana was framed from Sharangadhar Samhita itself, not from Charaka Samhita or Sushruta Samhita. Yes, that is true. And yes, one most pioneer point, the chronology of this institute. I went through the discussion which you were having with sir, that the actually Ayurved Pharmaceutical Institute was not the brainchild of Kurup sir. That was a new point for us because we were not aware of that reality earlier, but now we are well aware. And the vision and mission which you have explained were very much to a reality that can be achieved. That is not a bigger challenge, but the contemporary condition sir has enlightened that, okay, we are talking about the national importance, we are talking about Ayurved pharmacy education, we are talking about the products of this institute, but what is the ground reality outside this campus? That was enlightened by you in a very particular manner. And sir has elaborated very clearly that education orientation of BMS students and pharmacy students should be different. There should be fundamental difference in both the education system. And yes, the reality and the treatment for the teachers in the fraternity should also be equal. And other points like the course of pharmacy education is approved by UGC. This era, in this era of this need, what is the past? Many of us would not be aware that there is a pharmacy council bill since 2002. Very few people were aware, but sir has pointed out each year 2002, 2004 until 2018 it was published, and I still remember that sir was the person who shared the link and invited public comments in 2018 of that particular bill. The contribution of Gujarat Ayurved University, BHU, LPU, and Jodhpur University in Ayurved Pharmacy Council, Ayurved Pharmacy Education to be considered at a very much higher level. The placement of legal landmark, yes, though that is the point which should be considered by this university also and other personnel. And your wish that BPharm, MPharm, Ayurved students should be considered in UPSC and all other open platform with where the students of this kind of course can compete and can get the placement as officers and inspectors also. We will definitely put a request to all the possible levels. And bright, brilliant bachelor, the point, the slide, which is very much inspiring for us, and the concrete conclusion of your presentation was just like that. It went through our heart, and the dream which you are talking about, that after getting national importance, the level of this institute should be of NIPER. I assure from entire university, sir, that it will be below NIPER. Thank you very much for your kind words. And now I request Dr. Jignesh Kevalia, sir, to proceed. Thank you very much.
Okay, Kunal. Going forth, now we are in the middle of the session, and our second speaker is Sri Ranjit Puranik. He is also an eminent identity in the field of Ayurved pharmacy industry. He is MD of Sri Papeshwar Limited, President of Ayurvedia Prasarak Mandal, Advisor to the Herbal and Ayush Panel Pharmaxil, Trustee of All India Ayurved Congress and World Ayurveda Foundation, and has presented Ayush industry in many fora. Previously, he was a member in National Medicinal Plant Board, Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia Committee, and many more. Since so many years he is occupied with pharmaceutical industries of Ayurved, I request Sri Ranjit Puranik sir to give a speech on industrial aspect of Ayurved pharmacy education. Over to you, Ranjit Puranik sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jignesh. Am I audible? I just need a confirmation.
Yes, yes.
Yes, good. Friends, it's a great pleasure and a great honor to be invited by IIAPS, Dr. Moda, the entire faculty, the students. I thank you all for considering my name and inviting me here today. Congratulations on your 22nd Founders Day. And of strength in the coming times. You've been a pioneer, and we look forward to many pioneer developments coming out from your campus. It's a great honor to speak in the presence of a friend and senior colleague, Dr. Vice Chancellor Dr. Anup Thakurji, a very dear friend and a very vivacious person. I think whole of Jamnagar is aware of his entire life that he brings to the entire process. And of course, speaking in front of mentor as far as Ayurved industry goes, Dr. DC Katoch, Advisor, Ministry of Ayush. And when I say mentor, Dr. DC Katoch is a mentor for Ayurvedic institutions and organizations, not just in India, but I would say world over. Another tall personality today is another senior colleague in Rasashastra, Professor Anand Chaudhary. Sir, it's very difficult to speak after you and collect all our thoughts, everything that we've thought about. But I will do my best, and it's a pleasure and an honor to speak after you. And of course, all the assembled friends from industry, all the Ayurvedic students, Ayurvedic practitioners from all over the country who have assembled. It's a great honor and a pleasure to talk this morning. Dr. Jignesh, may I request you to put my presentation on the screen? I will just indicate to you on the next part, because can we go into slideshow mode? Oh, the fonts have changed. Okay. Can we go into slideshow mode, please? Has it come? Hello? Hello, can we have the next slide? No, sorry, you've got the wrong presentation. I'm sorry, this is not the presentation. Let me try and send it. Please allow me to share the screen and give me 30 seconds. I'll just put in the correct.
Yeah, you showed the certification or the first slide.
No, 1 second. I'll just do it. I'm really sorry about this, but we can't have a wrong presentation. I've never done this before, and video conference always has its entire challenges there. If you allow me, I will just move forward before the presentation completely loads and comes up for sharing. I think it started. Right. Friends, when you talk about the entire, am I audible, sirs? Hello? Hello?
Fine, Ranjit ji. You are
Yes,
audible.
good.
Yes, sir.
When we talk in terms of Ayurveda, the Ayurveda science of life, one of the things that has to be our North Star, our governance particular aspect, is that ultimately an Ayurved physician is a direct particular representative of Lord Dhanvantri. He is the authority, and whether you're in industry, however successful you may be, or whether you're a student or other kind of allied courses, we must understand that ultimately Ayurved emits at the hands of the Ayurved physician. And that's something that's a given. And that's the reason why I call an Ayurved physician a very one composite intellect. The responsibilities that the Ayurved physician for over 3,000-4,000 years has been able to take forward on their shoulders and bring to us in its current form, bring the tradition to us in its current form, is a very great kind of evolution that the Ayurvedic physician has taken forward, not only in the therapeutics, but even in the pharmaceutics, because ultimately they took forward the entire science. And, the entire amount of how Ayurveda has also changed from the days of Akhanda Bharat to what Union of India today represents. There is a huge difference in the manner in which Ayurveda has changed, not only market size wise, not only disease burden wise, not only burden of death wise, the public health challenges that has come. And nobody really intended for an Ayurved physician to be only just a practitioner. It happened as a matter of evolution. As a matter of evolution, there became a difference between therapeutics and patient, and pharmaceutics and manufacturer. The entire, we pride ourselves in Dudh Papeshwar to say that we are the oldest Ayurved manufacturing company in the private sector. I do believe that the oldest Ayurvedic manufacturing enterprise is Singh Darbar Davakhana, which is more than 350 years old, and it is located in Nepal, and it's still operating. It's a public sector undertaking. In the private sector, I believe we still have this little claim of being the oldest. But friends, please understand that Ayurveda has gone through great amount of challenges and great amount of particular changes that has come about, and around 150 170 years ago is when this entire identity of a manufacturer actually came into place. And we need to acknowledge these changes. And how has the sector dealt with? See that our Ayurved physicians right here, are in nodal positions of understanding policy, demarcating policy, drawing up futuristic plans, and basically administering the entire sector. One of the green institutions not mentioned here is something that Dr. Katoch is now handling, which is the entire drug control vertical that has come from which is getting evolved. And I'm sure in the next few years, you're going to see great amount of progress that's coming there. Please understand, friends, this is the gearing up of the nation for tremendous amount of potential to come. The squares that I have marked in light cream are like ICMR, WHO, CSIR, Indian Agriculture Research Institutes, as well as Pharmexil. This is where the Ayurved syntax still has to form its own particular identity. But there are probably a dozen more luminaries in Ayurveda who have not been mentioned here. My friend in industry, Anurag Sharma, is now a member of parliament. And this is how Ayurvedic sector is moving from strength to strength. And we need to really embrace these changes that are coming. We have to understand that the manner in which we have received Ayurveda from our seniors is not the way that we are going to be leaving it for our next generation. And what our responsibilities in all of that are going to be is something that's going to be our entire responsibility. How we conduct ourselves, how we take ourselves forward is going to be the entire challenge. Now, my entire discussion is really on the Founders Day for the students and the faculty at IIAPS, and some of my colleagues in industry who have joined, and physicians. But I'm going to focus a little bit on the students. And the next slide, I'm going to be talking about a mantra that comes to mind. This was a mantra that had evolved mainly for medicinal plants as to how they should be, or what is a good particular mantra for a successful Ayurvedic business. But when you take into account the demonstration of Ayurveda, that would be in the hands of B.Pharm, M.Pharm, D.Pharm graduates. Please understand this mantra for all the highlights that I've given there. It is talking about sustainably sourced from organically certified forest or farms, more farms than forests in time to come, documentarily supporting traceability and legal procurement. This kindly adjust era is over. It is time we come down to absolute legalities and in full compliance of fair trade guidelines. We won't be able to continue the exploitative process of raw materials much forward. We would have to come to terms with understanding the real price, the real particular labor, the real wages that need to be paid, not only to a farmer, but also a collector. And at all points of time, whether it's a classical medicine or a patent proprietary medicine, the adherence to Shastra Shuddhata, the adherence to ancient texts, the syntax is going to be more and more important. GMPs are going to change. They have not changed since January, probably 2001. But trust me, in the next 5 years, I'm sure Dr. Katoch will cover the entire part. They are set out to be changed drastically. And you may even talk about a complete overhauling of the entire quality monograph. So when you talk in terms of B.Pharm, D.Pharm, M.Pharm, and you talk in terms of gearing up for Ayurvedic sector, Ayurvedic industry, Ayurvedic manufacturing, or any kind of drug regulatory, please understand this has to be your responsibility, your North Star, that you have to become proficient. in all such angles in times to come. Let's divide out the entire scope for a pharmacy graduate. Ultimately, what do we want to do? We want to bring about authentic, standardized, safe and efficacious medicines. We are very clear about the fact as to what should the consumer, what should society get from us. And if you place the Ayurvedic pharmacist right in center and divide out the entire scope into research, into production, into trade, as well as into development, there are these subset and sub functions that I've mentioned in this entire matter, and I'll go on to talk about each one of them. But this is entire aspect that would be the kind of a North Star, a guiding light, a kind of a thing to look forward to, because I want the pharmacy graduates to be crystal clear about one part, that in the coming times for scope for pharmacy graduates is not going to be the same like what it has been till now. There probably have been employment difficulties and career difficulties for pharmacy graduates, but in the coming times, there is going to be greater impetus. I'm sure Dr. Katoch probably has some good news also to share with you in terms of not only additional recognition of the entire academic courses, but these are things that are on the anvil. We have to take this entire thing forward and move ahead. Let's take a look at scope of research. Research generally talks of efficacious and validation as well as safety studies. I'm going a little bit beyond that, and I'm talking that you are a true academic and you want to take a look at the scope in research, because the public health profile and the occupation of Ayurved physicians is a given. This pandemic has told you how vital Ayurveda is to public health. And I am sure whether people want to call us quacks, people want to call us whatever it is that they want to talk to us about, remember one thing: for 5,000 years, the truth has prevailed and it will prevail again. And the only truth is benefit to the consumer. The only truth is your ability to manage and combat disease, disorder, and ailments. And nobody can take that away from you. So whether people like Ras Aushadhis or people have some problems about heavy metals, it is their problem. Ultimately, please understand, safely and Shastra Shuddhata employed gives you absolutely quality medicines that are from Ayurveda Rasa Shastra, and these things cannot be ignored. You have to talk about your career not only of characterization, not only understanding the pyrometric treatment. You have to talk about understanding the entire why put on sanskars 51 times, 21 times, 14 times, 100 times, 1000 times. Why is this put on sanskars going? What does exactly bhavna dravyas do? How does nanotechnology that the world is raving about, how do I apply it to my entire bhasmas? All such issues are going to be important for students, and these are things that are going to be challenges. I see a lot of role being played once again by the pharmacist. I can tell you, in my company, today the company is practically run, as far as the manufacturing goes, by Ayurved physicians. We are very proud to say that, and they are handling major responsibility. The young generation of these Ayurvedic physicians are dealing with regulatory kind of challenges, and trust me, they're doing it extremely competently. They are self-taught. But imagine if they also had a colleague who was M.Pharm or B.Pharm, who had all of this exposure. I think we would be much better. And I think this is something that, I speak for my industry colleagues, that we have to look forward to. Take another scope in production, whether it's the simple kind of production you talk. I've talked of Shodhan Vidhi and Bhavna Vidhi to be very simple operations. They are as simple as Swaras, Kada, and Kalka, and Hima, and Fanta. The aspect is you have to do them. There should not be any shortcut. And there are a lot of things in Ayurveda that are not defined. The logic is not known. They are very expensive. But we have to do it. We don't have a choice. So if your raw material comes, the trader has sold it to you on the basis of, the whole particular bardan, but ultimately you have to do the cleaning and hand sorting. You have to remove the debris, adulterants, and stop crying on this entire issue that the trader is doing this adulteration and that adulteration. We should be able to recognize and do this. Now, this kind of skill set development can only come from experience, and this entire introduction has to be from an educational background. And this is something that your course should go into before even the complex kind of things are done with. And please understand, in a college, we need to, and especially in a pharmacy college, we need to stop having pilot level manufacturing facilities. Please come in with absolutely production scale, because it's very, very important that we deal with production scale and the students get that kind of experience before they join the industry. Because, pilot is pilot, and when it goes into production scale, whatever scale up that one may think and imagine, the aspect is you have to be right up there. You have to be proficient to that particular level. And, classical dosage forms are not a joke. These are things that we have to deal with. Moving on towards, scope as far as quality assurance and quality control goes. All kinds of machines are available. Sophistication is available, whether it's a GC, HPTLC, AS, ICP. How does it apply to the Ayurved syntax? This understanding of technology, the way modern pharmaceutics and modern pharma, these machines were made for a different cause, and we are using it for a completely different kind of assay or a spectra. How does that apply to me? How does that apply to my traditional syntax, my ancient particular medicine? This kind of correlation, cogency, again, cogency is only possible when you have mastered it. And again, I say a pharmacy college should have a sophisticated laboratory, because a pharmacy college is also a support science as far as industry goes. And as quality control parameters, as monographs, even in API, starts getting upgraded, to me, greater and greater role is going to be played by pharmacy graduates, and it's going to be extremely important. And, I'll repeat again, because I need to make this point very, very clearly, that Rasaushadhis is a coming particular science that is going to be implemented. When you talk in terms of chronic, and you talk of pandemic, and you talk of, absolutely debilitating kind of health challenges, public health challenges that are coming down, countries locking down, please understand the modern science query is not going to spare any and every available particular source in medicine. And traditional science is going to get the spotlight. And when it comes into the spotlight, exacting standards, exacting SOPs, it doesn't matter if you continue to use gobar, you continue to use babul and khair in terms of the entire fuel that is there, but you must be very, very clearly Shastra Shuddha, as if you did it 2000 years ago. And that's the challenge as far as an M-Pharm, B-Pharm goes, to understand the kind of responsibility that is there on the manufacturer's shoulder, because the Ayurvedic physician, a pratik of Lord Dhanvantri, has delegated his entire trust to you, supply medicines and support his clinic. You have to come true. You have to say every batch of yours is a test. Whether you are Ayurvedic is good, Ayurveda is Shaswat, are you Ayurvedic is a kind of a test that every time every manufacturer has to come true. Every batch to me is your first batch, and it has to be your best batch. And that is the manner in which we do it. Moving onwards towards productions and companies, I will go on talk about, regulatory. I can probably give a lecture of the next 1 and 2 hours on only regulatory particular challenges. But these are only some of the various regulations that basically you must be proficient with. If you choose to manage the entire regulatory aspect in a company, if you choose that you are going to be responsible for the regulatory aspect, you have to keep abreast of all of these current notifications. And the most important part about these current notifications is that they are not static. Please understand, Ayurveda as a sector is coming into its being. The identity is still getting formed. You still have not been defined as an entity under pollution control. You still have not been defined as a science, a traditional science, which requires exemption under Biological Diversity Act. You still have not been defined properly under Drugs and Magic Remedies Act. The aspect is that there are acts which are applicable to you. You are supposed to comply, which is true. Probably there is a new act which Dr. Katoch is probably drafting right now, which is a parallel Drugs and Cosmetics Act meant only for Ayurveda, Unani, Suddha, and homeopathy. Now, all of these are challenges that come about. And regulatory compliance is going to be 60% of the attention span of any entrepreneur in times to come. So please understand that if you are a pharmacy graduate who is going to focus only on regulatory aspect, whether you wish to become a drug controller or a drug inspector or licensing authority, please understand whichever way that you do it, whatever aspect, research, whether it's production, I'll be talking about trade, I'll be talking in terms of about whether, even if you think of pharmacology as a pharmacy graduate, please understand proficiency and a mastery on that particular vocation is required. If you are wanting to become an entrepreneur, the world is your entire market. Please go ahead, but proficiency, knowledge about each one of these things, the chalta hai, the adjustment attitude is passe. Please do not expect it to be in this online zamana. The aspect is the world has changed. You better get smart and you better get compliant, and you are already late. So please ensure that with complete knowledge that we do these kind of situations. Whilst you're talking in terms of production, let's go down to a GMP upgradation. I have said it's not reviewed since January of 2001, and then the extended deadline was April of 2001. Now, please understand, this GMP is going to get upgraded probably into Schedule M and probably into WHO, and these challenges is something that we need to take. The SOPs that we write about, don't be surprised if public health medicine is going to get procured in large numbers, large numbers. You talk about the TB health program, their public health budget goes into thousands of crores. Imagine Sanchamani Vati going into thousands of crores purchased by all the states. Imagine the Chavanprash going into 15,000 crores worth of public purchase. Now, when it goes into that, the kind of SOP that is required, the kind of special wheels get oil. Ask for it. Ask for these extra classes, because when you come down to an industry, the industry will require your working knowledge of all such. They require you to be navigating in all such kind of syntax, and this is where you have to come up to mark. So these even if the official curriculum does not change really, aspect like this we can change. There's though it's a professional course, we can always educate ourselves and get into more knowledge. And these things are for the asking. In the days of internet, these things are for the asking. In my opinion, if there is a will, there is certainly a way. I'll move on from production. I've moved on now to development. uh, I talked about farmers earlier, I talked about collectors earlier, I talked about variations in terms of the medicinal plant raw materials that we get. I'm talking about working with stakeholders which hitherto we have not worked with. I'm talking about training modules to be determined everywhere. I'm talking about writing down the entire SOPs as to what is an acceptable product for industry. I'm talking about taking the TLC also angle right down to the farm source. All such angles is something that's going to be very, very crucial, very, very important. TLC, HPTLC, the manner in which we read it, what is our product, what is important for it, how do we protect the entire herb coming from maybe 1800 kilometers into our factory, how it should be packed. Today packaging is in any available bardan. Now, all these things are about to change. The labeling is going to be done right there at source. The traceability is going to be demanded. These kind of things that are there. Development just does not mean new product development, fancy packaging. Of course, it means all of that. But, launching new products and, all that fancy and the aura about FMCG and all such kind of things, it's there. The attraction is very much there. If you're an entrepreneur, yes, you must come. For all the big companies that are mentioned, please understand that there are 20 more large companies, which is the space in the market that can come about. And you could be an entrepreneur into that. But understanding new dosage forms, innovation, creativity, what is it that you bring differently? How is it that you are going to represent the Shastra in its true form, in its formulation, and present to a trusting Ayurvedic physician the exact syntax which is given in pharmacopoeia. I think these kind of challenges is something that's very, very, very important. I'll move on now from new dosage development and development as such to talking about trade and dispensing. I am not going to talk about the career and the vocational avenues that are available for graduates to become pharma salesmen. I'm sorry, please don't become pharma salesmen. There are others who can become pharma salesmen. You are professionals, you are D-Pharm, B-Pharm. Please ensure that probably if you want to go into marketing, there is one more course, an MBA marketing or some kind of other exposure that you do by which you gain that entire marketing proficiency. But don't join the entire industry. If you're doing it for experience, it's a different issue. But don't join the entire industry as a pharma representative. Trust me. Leave it separately. There are others who can do that entire job. Let them do it. You are a B farm, you are an M farm, you are a D farm. I want you to basically set your sights a little bit higher. And in the coming age of e-commerce or prescription generation, your marketing kind of diploma, your marketing kind of additional qualification is really going to help you a lot. Are you going to be creative, innovative about telemedicine? Pandemic has shown that all such kind of online meetings can continue. One really does not have to travel all the way interstate or to other city to attend such kind of memorial lectures. You can do it right there from your entire agenda and schedule in your headquarters. And this is something that's there. And please bring that MBA and the diploma that I said, you'll bring competence to it. Now, something that again Dr. Katoch might declare is something that as an industry we fear it. Dr. Katoch may talk about, or I urge him to talk about, sale license for the anvil for better part of 10 years. A sale license has been mooted by Ministry of Ayush. As industry, we have always said there is a dearth of graduates. And there's no way that a sale license can really be established, because you don't want just signature to come from a graduate. You want actual contribution also. And we've been trying to prevent it. I don't think the situation has changed. I don't think those many pharmacy graduates are available in the entire all of India to man the 42 lakh retail outlets that stock and house Ayurvedic medicine. Even if you say 1/10 of those retail outlets are manning the Schedule E1 kind of drugs, still the dearth is very much there. But that topic ultimately is the government's policy decision. We have to know our limitations also. But at the same time, please understand that there is a huge difference between Ayurved dispensing and allopathic dispensing. Allopathic dispensing has a very set SOP in the manner in which it should be done. Ayurvedic dispensing has to be upgraded from what the tradition has been followed till now. It has to definitely be upgraded in the manner in which the entire dispensing is going to take place. It can't be, that same pudi karkhana that has, that we have seen come through the ages. It has to move to a great particular upgradation. And, even if you choose to go into trade and have your own particular chain of stores and decide to do dispensing, these kind of chains are coming up and they're doing fairly well. I mean, there's great commerce there. Please upgrade the entire thing, because there is no way the dispensing of medicine has to be done with respect, with complete information for the consumer, not only in terms of prescription, but complete batch number and all such protocols filed. And this kind of situation has to be done. So there's a huge definition when it comes down to Ayurvedic dispensing as such. And coming to the end of my entire presentation, there's a little something that I've spoken to my colleagues also in industry. Some of them gave some comments, and a bee farm from Ayurved should be a plus. Not only should he know everything that is there in terms of modern pharmaceutics, but in terms of understanding the entire Ayurved science, he has to be that plus that he comes into part. I've spoken mainly about the research angle or the quality assurance and all such parts. But this kind of internship with industry, 6 months into 2 cycles. Uh, this is the kind of internship that a graduate must do before you let him go. Industry colleagues also have to note that we have to open our doors for this kind of human resource development. We have to basically also be the second hand of the clap by which more competent resources will be available to us in the coming times. Some of the people you train may go and become entrepreneurs in front of you. So be it. But the aspect is like this, these are changing methods, and these are certain points that I've written. I will not go into detail, but these are certain points that are there. And sir, we need many more pharmacy colleges. If education samrats are not getting pharmacy colleges, I will urge IIAPS itself basically talk in terms of having branches and take it forward, because I can tell you very clearly that you are on the threshold of a huge growth cycle in Ayurved. I have talked about Ayurved physicians being key placements in policy, and policy action will follow, and good action will follow. And you have to be ready for all of these kind of situation. Take into account, this is a 2016 map of the prevalence of Ayurveda the world over. And, wherever you're seeing light green is where Ayurveda still potential has to go. And exactly, Chinese medicine is just opposite of all of that. But we have to grow Ayurveda on its own strength. We don't have to grow Ayurveda on just phytochemicals and, the modern syntax, or, take in any which way commerce should be done. Food is a food and medicine is a medicine. That which has a physiological impact, therapeutic impact, is a medicine. Now, no sense packaging it like a herbal tea, or no sense packaging it like some haldi doodh and, making people sick. You and me are aware that these kind of things should not be done, which cannot be done. These are my views, personal views. But this is the potential that Ayurveda will grow. And in all of this, we have to be crystal clear that all the professional courses, whether doctors are required for healthcare, or B.Pharm, M.Pharm, D.Pharms are required for other kind of production and research and pharmacological, clinical and safety studies management, all such kind of competencies are going to come into play. And the world is, or rather, let me put it to you, you are your own limitation. So, whatever vision that you set out for the next 50 years in Ayurveda, you can actually achieve it. So, you are your own limitation. And I'll borrow from exactly Dr. Professor Anand Chaudhary's lecture. Bright, brilliant bachelors or masters or diploma holders, be that bright spot wherever you go. I thank IIAPS and Dr. Joban Moda and his entire team for considering me, and thank you for this entire patient hearing. I'm sorry I could not see any one of you. I hope I was audible all throughout. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, you were audible throughout the lecture, and the speech you gave was really informative, and the way sir has explained the evaluation of our Ayurveda and Ayurveda pharmaceutical sector from Akhand Bharat to till date was just an amazing point from your speech. And the challenges which our field has faced, challenges as well as changes which our field has faced, was really explained very well. The Ayurvedic physicians currently, in current position, in current era of our nation, has spreaded all over, starting from manufacturing to any clinical institution, research institution, including legislative sector and at government sector. So we can say that currently this era is the perfect era to design Ayurveda in this perspective. And the mantra which sir has provided to achieve the success in our sector was just perfect. Challenges or scope in research, in particular Ayurvedic pharmaceutical sector, sir has explained that there are so many endless challenges including Rasagunu Virya Vipak of our drugs, and how we can elaborate their importance and role in manufacturing as well as in clinical practice. I would love to bring your kind concern that Gujarat Ayurved University has already started such kind of pharmaceutical research in M-Pharma, and many more studies are on the way, and we have already started to correlate and impact of rasa of any substance and how we can standardize it depending upon its season and method of shodhan and effect of bhavna that has been done and are being polished right now currently, and in coming era the various research articles are going to be published. And the importance of rasa aushadhi particular sir has mentioned in this pandemic or any infectious disease or any chronic disease. Yes, raw material and its standardization is so much important in this era, and yes, we will look forward to your all the suggestions, and we will try to cope up with the industrial need, including large scale production, exposure, and the internship program. Thank you very much for your kind words, sir. And now moving session forward, I would like to call upon Dr. Jignesh Kevalia, sir, to continue the session. Thank you very much.
Okay, Kunal. As of now, we are moving to the end of the session. Dearly beloved, our third speaker is highly esteemed personality. He is indeed respected Dr. D.C. Katoch. Dr. Katoch sir has started his career as an Ayurvedic teacher in the year 1993, and his work journey is inspirational to many like us. Currently, he is assigned with various prestigious liabilities in health sectors of Ayurved India. Amongst few, I would like to mention here. He is advisor Ayurved Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, head Drugs Policy Section, director in charge PCIMNH, director in charge Bling, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, and many more national as well as international activities exhibiting Ayurved, including World Health Organization. As he is involved in policy level aspects of Ayurved, I now request Dr. Katoch sir to give a speech on regulatory aspects of Ayurved pharmacy education. Over to you, Dr. Katoch sir.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible? Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay,
Please.
okay, fine, fine. Honorable Vice Chancellor and the Director of IPGTRA, Dr. Professor Anup Thakur, Dr. Chaudhary ji, Ranjit Puranik ji, and all the principal of this Indian Institute of Ayurvedic Pharmaceutical Sciences, Jamnagar, Dr. Modha ji, and all the faculty members and the participants in this webinar. First of all, let me thank Professor E.M. Mehta and Dr. P.N.D. Kuru, whose brainchild is celebrating 22nd birth anniversary of this institute. Now, there is another reason to greet the institute and the custodians of this Gujarat Ayurveda University and the institutions under this, that this institute, this complex has been designated as a institute of national importance. So that is another feather in the cap of this university and this institutional complex, that they are enjoying the status of institute of national importance. Friends, the topic which I am going to speak on, that is relating to this regulation of pharmacy education, pharmacy profession of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, and Homeopathy. I think I picked up many points from the presentation of Dr. Chaudhary and from Mr. Ranjit Puranik, And particularly one important point which Dr. Chaudhary raised, that the manpower requirement means the pharmacy manpower which is required for our sector, particularly in the teaching institutions, in the regulatory framework, like as drug inspectors, or even on the production side, even on the quality control side in the manufacturing units, we need trained manpower of pharmacy. And the point which Mr. Ranjit Pranik raised, I think I am very much touched by that point, and that is, we need not, means our stakeholders, particularly the stakeholders of the pharmaceutics, they need not navigate, they need to comply. They need to comply to the regulatory requirements. They need to comply to the standards, quality standards, and the other standards set up by the different bodies, by the government agencies. All of that. So the navigation, I think navigation is not important. Important is compliance, and I think for that, this pharmacy education and the pharmacy the profession, for that it is very important that the compliance to the regulatory requirements and the regulatory rules. Since I'm going to speak on Ayush standardization, Ayush regulation, friends, this regulation, before we start the regulation, the prerequisite is standards. What we regulate without standards? Unless we have the standards, only then we can check. So standardization, that is the prerequisite for regulation. And standardization, it all depends upon the policy. It all depends upon the policy. If you see the growth of Ayush in the country, at the time of independence, when India became free in 1947, there was a policy support for Ayush systems. That is why these systems were given official recognition. All the systems, Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Naturopathy, Siddha, Homeopathy, and recently, about 10 years back, we saw Ripa. So all these systems, they were given official recognition. So it means that recognition was given because of there was a policy support from government officials. But that policy support initially it was tolerant. It was tolerant policy. There were no regulations, no standards, no standards. The first attempt through the policy for standardization, it started in 1962, when the first pharmacopoeia committee was set. And the work or the responsibility given to the pharmacopoeia committee was to identify the books, authoritative books, which can be included in the Drugs and Cosmetic Act in the first schedule, so that a very specific definition of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drugs could be given. And that definition was incorporated in 1964. So that happened because of that policy. So it means the policy support that changed in 1964. It means initially there was a tolerant policy support, but later on it was inclusive policy support. Like other forms of medicine, like allopathic medicine, so means standardization. This concept of standardization, so that was passed on to the Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, and that pharmacopoeia committee was there. Now, from 1964 means when this definition, the legal definition of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, and then later on the definition of homeopathy drug was also included in the Drugs and Cosmetic Rule. And you see that in the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, the definition of homeopathy drug is not there. It is only for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani. This is very interesting. There was only one umbrella definition of drug, which was given in 1940. So that definition that covered all kinds of drugs, but majorly it was only for chemical drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. And then the definition of this Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drug, that was carved out in 1964, and it was incorporated under Section 3A and Section 3H1, that is related to proprietary, patent or proprietary. Now, between 1964 to 1983, as I told you that there was a inclusive policy support from the government of India. In this period, what happened? In this period, first of all, a regulatory body, under the provisions of Indian Medicine Center Council Act that was created, that was for standardization of the education and the quality control of education. CCIM came up in 1970 when this Indian Medicine Center Council Act was framed. And just after 3 years, then the Homeopathy Center Council Act was. So again, this was because IMC, Indian Medical Council Act, it came in 1956. But there was no regulatory body, there was no regulatory provisions for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani education, as well as practice. So the regulation of the practitioner, regulation of the practice, it started with 1970 with that act, and for homeopathy, it started with the Homeopathy Center Council. So from 1970, then next, if you see, just before the setting up of the this Central Council of Indian Medicine, the government of India, they also set up this Central Council for Research in Indian Systems of Medicine and Homeopathy. So that was again the inclusive policy for Ayush, because at that point of time there was no body to undertake research activities in Ayush. So that body was set up, and just after 7 or 8 years, there was a thought that why not to have separate research bodies. So then CCRS, it was set up in 1979. CCRS came in 2002, 2004, but the Homeopathic Research Council, Yoga and Naturopathy Research Council, and then the Unani Research Council and Ayurveda Research Council, and and Siddha also, that was part of CCRS at that point. So this prevailed up to 1983. So in the 1983, there was integrated policy support. And if you see the National Health Policy 1983, very categorically it was stated in that policy that there will be integration of Indian systems of medicine and homeopathy in the National Healthcare Delivery System and in the National Healthcare Program. But I am frank enough to say that practically nothing happened in the form of any integration. Nothing happened. It happened only in 1995 when this Department of Indian Systems of Medicine and Homeopathy, it was created. So this was another inclusive policy support for Ayush system. From 1995, during this, when this integrated policy support was there, because this Department of Indian System of Medicine and Homeopathy, it was under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So by virtue of that, by virtue of being the part of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, the integrated policy support that was provided for the growth and the development of the system. And if you see, if you go back, you might have seen that many national institutions were created during this period. National institutions were, and the research council, they were strengthened. And then in 2014, when the new government came, there was an exclusive policy support. And this exclusive policy support, it culminated into the form of setting up a separate Ministry of Health, so that exclusive opportunities could be given for the growth and development of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Homeopathy, and other. So that was exclusive policy support. So the nature of policy support that has been changing right from the beginning, but the support has been there. And if you see when I say that policy, so under policy, the 5 things are important. The 5 things are important which need to be regulated. The quality control of those things is required. So for that, we need to make the regulation. We need to make certain laws or like that. And this started with practice. The first is practitioner. So the educational course curricula, they were standardized. So initially there were so many qualifications. Some were 4-year degree course, some were diploma, and the nomenclature of the courses were also different. Somewhere it was AMBS, somewhere it was BIMS, somewhere GMS or like that. So that standardization happened when this Indian Central Council of Indian Medicine was set up. So with that standardization. So standardization of the Portula means the practitioner was standardized. Means what should be the basic qualification to become a practitioner of that system. Then the practice, simultaneously practice. Then the product. As I told you, that the product regulation, it started in 1964. Product regulation for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, it started in 1964 when this exclusive definition of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, it was given under chapter 4a. There the provisions were there. This chapter was inserted in 19. So that, but after that, if you see what has happened, now there is the provisioning of the services. Now a lot of dispensaries, hospitals, and all that happened because of the support from the government, not only from the central government but also from the state government. And if you see, the most of the hospital dispensaries, they were set up between 1970 to 19. अभी जो है गवर्नमेंट जो है वो ज्यादा गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल नहीं खुल रहे हैं, डिस्पेंसरी नहीं खुल रही है, प्राइवेट कॉलेजेस भी गवर्नमेंट कॉलेजेस भी नहीं खुल रहे, ज्यादातर प्राइवेट सेक्टर में चल रहा है. एंड प्रेजेंटली द सिचुएशन इज that 75% of our infrastructure that is in private sector. It is only 25% which is catered by the government. Which is catered by the government. And under this, the two flagship programs of the government of India, one is National Ayush Mission and the National Health Mission. This integration means creation of Ayush facilities within the government health network. Within the government health network means the government health network is PSA, CSA, district hospital. So that kind of physical integration that is happening under one roof, but still our policy has not been able to promote functional integration. Functional integration is not there. It is only the physical integration. We are sitting under one roof, but again we are working in silos. Again we are working in silos. We are working independently, or we are working. So functional integration, I think that is the key. That is the key for success in health sector. For catering to the health needs of the people, I think the functional integration is that. And if you can imagine what kind of situation we are facing during this COVID-19 outbreak. There are no proven medicines. What we have medicines, but our medicines, they are not acceptable to the medical fraternity. They are not acceptable to the scientific fraternity. But this situation has provided a lot of opportunity for Ayush, for Ayurveda to prove it. So that is why this task force was created. Many scientific studies they are undergoing in different institutions. So all this is happening because of the policy. Now, based on this, how are this happening? Now, I just want to give one small presentation to you. So, if you see the policy framework for Ayush, first policy statement it came in 1983, that is integration of Ayush and in the healthcare delivery system. Then the same policy, when it was revised in 2002, I was also part of that dialogue because our secretary at that point of time, Madam Shelja Chandra, she was the secretary. So when there was a meeting in the chamber of the health minister, so it was suggested that why not to have a separate policy? Why not to have a separate policy for Ayush system? So I was also involved in that, and then we carved out this national policy on Indian systems of medicine in 2002. It is still continuing because after that this policy has not been revised. But the new elements of the policy related to Ayush, those have come in the National Health Policy 2017. And if you see the National Health Policy 2017, it talks about integration of Ayush at all levels: primary healthcare level, secondary healthcare level, tertiary healthcare level, and in the national healthcare programs. So the policy support is there, but somewhere we are not having the enabling framework for implementing the objectives of the policies. Enabling frameworks are not there. You might have seen that, like in the national health programs, not even a single Ayush intervention or Ayush drug is included in the national health. Not even. So physical integration is happening in the form of this co-location of Ayush facilities in the PSA, CSA, district hospitals, or in other hospitals, but the functional integration that is not happening. So I think this pharmacy area is one area. I think where we can have lot of functional integration. We can have interdisciplinary experts. We can induce interdisciplinary knowledge to the learners of pharmacy, to the students of pharmacy, Ayush pharmacy. So interdisciplinary knowledge of pharmacy can be given, can be imparted to them, and then they can deliver the thing. And if you see the national strategies for Ayush, the focus is on standardization and quality control. Standardization and quality control in every aspect, whether it is practice, whether it is product, whether it is practitioner, whether it is education, so in all aspects. So that is why this policy is always evolving, and it is going strong and strong. And recently, I think just 4 5 months back, there is a bill in the parliament. I think because of lockdown, when the parliament was adjourned, otherwise that bill would have been passed by now. That is National Commission of Indian Medicine, similarly National Commission for Homeopathy. So means just to replace the CCIM, Indian Medical Center Council. So similarly, means the lot of trust has been given for standardization and quality control, and this is one area, the standardization and quality control of pharmacy education and pharmacy profession. So this trust is there. This is also part of the strategy. And if you see the laws, I think everybody knows that how the drugs are regulated in our country. So mainly one particular law, Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940 is there, and these are the two laws. Another is related to drug information, means how the drug information is to be regulated. One is drugs as such, means manufacturing, sale, distribution, and then the post-market surveillance. So that aspects they are covered under Drugs and Cosmetic Act. And the other is how to control, how to regulate or means the drug information, the information which we pass on to the public through advertising. So that is also important. I think India is one country where we are having two different acts, but in other countries there is always one act. In the drug information, that is also regulated by the same act, drug information. So Drugs and Magic Remedies Act, this is the act for controlling the dissemination of drug information. And if you see the drugs regulated category of drugs and the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, we have pharmaceutical drugs, Ayurveda Siddha Unani drugs, homeopathy drugs, and phytodrugs. And all these four categories, they have mutually exclusive provisions. Their provisions, they are not encroaching upon each other. They are exclusive. So that is why the authorities in the states, the regulators, they are also different. The body may be common, like FDA may be common, but the officers, the regulators, the regulatory inspectors, and the licensing authorities, they are different because there are exclusive provisions. No other acts, I think Mr. Rajiv Puranik, he has elaborated so many other things, many other acts, they are also related with the. So what is the need for the regulation, drug regulation? So when I say drug regulation, it is also related with this manufacturing, is the pharmacy aspect also. Why these are needed? To prescribe and enforce standards for the raw materials, for the manufacturing of the drugs, for the labeling, for the distribution, for the sale, for the post-market surveillance, and for the dissemination of the drug information. For all these things, the regulations are required. But before laying down the regulations, before conceptualizing the regulations, we need to have standards. Otherwise, what we will regulate? So so regulation. They are always dependent on standards. So once we have the standards, then to ensure availability of quality assured drugs and drug information to the people, this is also one of the objectives of the regulation, and to promote public protection from hazards and harmful effects of the drug. I think that is why this pharmacovigilance program that has been conceptualized, that if some drug comes out to be possessing certain adverse drug reactions, so some regulatory action could be taken. So that is also part of the regulation. And if you see, why I am telling this, that now we are in the process of having one pharmacy bill, pharmacy council bill, and this bill was conceptualized long back in 2002, 2003. I will tell you the story later, that at what position we are today. But whatever we are going to have in these regulations, there would be five different kinds of provisions. Firstly, enabling provisions. Enabling provisions means what can be done, how it should be done. So means the framework of implementing anything. So that is the enabling provision. Then what you cannot do, that is the prohibitive provision. Like in case of Drugs and Medical Remedies Act, there is a list of 53 disease conditions on which you cannot make a claim. So that is a prohibitive provision. So similarly, these kinds of there would be certain prohibitive provisions also. Then the penal provisions. If you do the things which you are not expected to do, and the things which are prohibited, if you do those, it means you are violating the law. So for that, the penal provision. So these kind of things are normally seen in all acts. Kind of acts. Then the empowering provision. These empowering provisions, like inspector, the drug inspector only can visit the pharmaceutical unit. He can do the inspection because he is authorized. So that is empowering provision. Similarly, only the central government can make the rule. Only the central government can give the direction to the state government. So that is empowering provision. So that is always included in the act. So when the provisions are made, different regulatory provisions are made, then certain powers are also given to the different authorities. So those provisions, they are empowering provisions. And then exemption provisions. Sometimes certain provisions they need to be exempt. Like in case of labeling provisions. So if the product is export oriented, you can make that label as per the requirements of the importing country. But that product will not come to the in the market. So that kind of exemption provisions are also there. So just for the understanding of the students and the faculty here, those who are working in this institute. So that is now, if you see the regulatory provisions in our act for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Homeopathy, that these are very compact, very few provisions are there. So in Drugs and Cosmetic Act, under Section 3A and Section 3H1, the definition of classical and the definition of proprietary medicines are given. And then in Chapter 4A, from Section 33B to 33P, 33O rather, so 17 sections are there. It talks about what is misdemeanor drug, what is drug technical advisory board, all those things are there. And there is only one schedule, that is the first schedule, in which the list of authoritative books means the material which you are going to use in manufacturing Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani product or the formulation. It has to be from those books. Nothing out of that. It means like this ginseng. Now, ginseng is not documented in any of the authoritative books. It is not documented in any of the authoritative. It means from ginseng, you cannot make a product in the name of Ayurveda product. Similarly, there might be certain plants which might be growing in the backyard of your house. But if those plants, if they are not documented in the authoritative books, it means from that plant, and we are facing this problem. We are facing this problem, like soybean. Now, soybean, nai. Nai is one plant that is very commonly used in the folklore, and lot of work, scientific work has been done by our scientists on many medicine plants. But those plants, they are not documented. So all that knowledge, all that scientific knowledge which has been generated, that is kept in the almirah. There is no translational value of that knowledge because the product is not there in the market. So only even the scientists, they have taken the patent, but the product is not there because they are not fitting into the root of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani. So our CSI are scientists, ICM are scientists, or the DBT scientists. They have done a lot of work on many medicine plants, but they have published papers, they have taken patents, and again those patents and those they are in the almirah. Industry is not using that knowledge because the provisions are not there. So we are now, the government of India, they have set up a committee for making regulatory reforms. I am also a member of that committee, and we would take care of that. That the new medicine plants could be included. Could be included. So we want to broaden the definition of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani. It may be for proprietary medicines at least, but the classical formulations we cannot change. We cannot change because if we tamper with the classical formulation, it means we will lose the sanctity of our formulation. So that we are not going to do, but our intention is that the more medicinal plants and the dosage forms, the other new dosage forms, the new drug delivery system, those could be included. Those could be included within the definition of that Ayurveda Siddha Unani. Now, if you see in the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, only second schedule clause 4A, it talks about standards of homeopathic drug. There is no definition of homeopathic drug. The definition of homeopathic drug is only given in the rules. And if you see the operational part of the act is rules. Because the implementation of the act is done through the rules. So if you see the rules, Rule 151 to 170, they are meant for regulation of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drugs, and Rule 30AA, Rule 67, Rule 85, A to L, and Rule 106A, they are meant for homeopathic drugs. So whether it is manufacturing, whether it is for sale, because sale license is required for homeopathic medicine, it is not there in on Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani side. So as the apprehension of Mr. Puranik that the sale license for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, as an expert and as a policy maker in the government, I am of the view that that sale means sale license. We are not. I am not in favor of sale license. I am saying that only the registration of the seller. Registration of the seller. At least we should come to know that okay, who are selling these products? Who are selling these products? Just like a practitioner, he can do any kind of practice, but he is a registered. After registration only, he can start the practice. So similarly, we are saying that whosoever, whatever his qualification may be, we can lay down that okay, oh, only matriculate could be there, or a 10+2 pass. Whosoever is selling Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani medicine, I think he must be registered. He must be registered. So only then good selling practices, their guidelines can be made. Then good storage practices in the retail outlets, those can be made. So presently nothing is there. So sale license, that is not the concept in our mind, but we want that seller, whosoever is the seller, he must be registered, and the kind of products which will need a prescription, that also needs to be isolated. That needs to be kept. That means all the products cannot be OTC products. All the products cannot be the OTC. All the products cannot be the self-help care products. Right? If on one hand we are having this schedule E1 and there is a list of 57 poisonous substances, it means the poisonous substances, these are the ingredients of the Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani medicine, particularly the proprietary. Because in case of proprietary, there is no time-tested evidence of safety. If Smearpanagrass is there, okay, it is a classical formulation, time-tested efficacy and safety is there. If the quality standards of that product as given, as prescribed in the authoritative books, if those are maintained, okay, that could be safe and that could be effective. Right? But in case of new formulations, then on one hand we are saying that if you mix honey and ghee in equal proportion, it becomes poison. Then what about those drugs which are already poisonous? So the evidence of safety that is required in proprietary medicine, those who are having schedule E1 ingredients, any of the schedule E1, whether it is of animal origin or plant origin or mineral origin or marine origin. So that's it. So in case of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drugs, the rules pertaining to these drugs are Rule 151 to 170, and there is Schedule E1. Schedule E1, it provides the list of those poisonous substances for which the caution has to be mentioned on the label of that formulation. That okay, it will be taken under medical supervision. Now there is a thought that we will enhance this provision. We will say that to be consumed under medical prescription. Presently, it is only for the consumer, but means the selling also means that this kind of product should not be sold without prescription. In India, we are getting informal reports that this is happening, but we are getting formal reports from the foreign countries, from USA, from Canada, from Europe. We are getting a lot of complaints that okay, this product has heavy metals more than this permissible limits. So to them we respond that that, okay, these heavy metals don't go by the titer of the heavy metal present in that formulation, but according to us, it is a classical formulation, it is time-sensitive formulation, it is mentioned in the formulary, it is mentioned in the yeah, and it is a special category, right? Rush Aushti are the special categories of Ayurveda Siddha Unani medicine. So it is not the mere presence, high presence of heavy metal or some other poisonous material. But we also say that certain pharmaceutical processes are applied on that product, like Shodhana, Marana, Amritikarana, then these are rendered therapeutically safe and therapeutically effective. So that is important. But whether this process has been done on that product or not, how to ensure that? How to check that? This is the question. This is a regulatory challenge. We might be saying that, okay, Shodhan has been done on this product, Marana has been done, but whether it was done or not, how to check it? How to check it? Even for the classical medicine. So there are limitations of the analytical technology. There are limitations of it. Means by available analytical technology, we can say that, okay, this much amount of heavy metal is present in the formulation, but we cannot detect the nature of the heavy metal because we have done the transformation of the nature of that heavy metal. So that is why our mercurial formulations, they are safe, they are effective, even if the mercury is there. So sanskaro hi gunantradhan. Professor Chaudhary knows very well, right? So this is the regulatory challenge. Means when we are saying that, okay, Smearpanagra is in the market, so means how to test it? How to test it? Means testing the safety. Means without consuming. After consuming, you can test, but without consuming means a product which is picked up from the market, right? Then, if you see in the drugs and cosmetic rules for homeopathy, and then the drugs and magic remedies that all of you know that there are a very small act, hardly of 4 pages, and then under that there is a small rules are there, and the objective is just for 3 things. One is there are certain diseases, 57 disease conditions, and I am also very convinced that there are certain conditions or health conditions or the disorders which are the potential areas of Ayush, like liver disease. The simple fever is there. So a committee has been set up in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. I am also a member of that committee, interdepartmental committee, that is for this drugs and medical medicine, for the amendment of the drugs. And we have suggested that this list may be this list of diseases should be repeated. It should be repeated. So advertisement should be on the basis of the claim, not on the basis of the disease. So because otherwise there are many problems our industry is facing in advertising certain products. So that kind of suggestion we have given to that. And now if you see in nutshell, the whole regulatory framework in our country, the central government has the powers to make and amend the regulatory provisions. Then central government has the power to give directions to the state governments, to the state authorities. Then central government has set up Pharmacopoeia Commission of Indian Medicine and Homeopathy and the Pharmacopoeia Committee for the development of the standards, for the development of the SOPs. Then the central laboratories are there. So, and then now we are going to have a central regulatory framework for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani and Homeopathy drugs. And the 9 regulatory posts have been created, and their recruitment rules, they are just at the verge of finalization and approval by the law ministry. And once these are finalized and approved, we will issue the notification of the recruitment rules, and then we will start the recruitment process. I think within this year this will happen. So with that, there will be a proper coordination between the state and the center. Because presently there is only a small cell in the ministry that is known as drug control cell. Now it is named as drugs policy section. Only 4 or 5 people are there. But now this Ayush vertical, this is going to be set up, and it is going to work under the supervision, overall control of the Drug Controller General of India. So Ayush vertical in the CDSU that has already been created, and that was created in 2018. On 5th February 2018, that but presently there is no incumbent in there, and the officers of the Ministry of Ayush, they have been given additional charge. I just like I'm also working as a data controller for Ayush. I'm working as a so all the fights from the CDSU, like for WHGMP certification or for other, they come to us and okay, but once we have these regulatory posts filled up, means the 9 persons, 4 drug inspectors, 4 assistant drug controllers, and 1 the deputy drug controller for Ayush. So all these posts, I think by 31st March 2021, we will try to fill up these posts, and then these will be there. And then we are also providing financial support to the National Ayush Mission for improving the quality control mechanism, for improving the regulatory framework in the state. We are also providing support for the testing of the medicines, for strengthening of the pharmacy, but it is only limited to government pharmacy, government drug testing laboratories. And I think many of you might not be aware that under President Hospital, as on date, 59 laboratories in the country, they are recognized, they are approved, and they work as just public laboratories, government laboratories. So private laboratories, they are recognized under the provisions of the Rule 160 of the Drugs and Cosmetic Rules. So there is a mechanism of joint inspection. The inspectors from the state side and the inspectors from the central government, they visit and then the approval is. It's not easy. It takes around 6 months. The application by the laboratory people that is made to the state licensing authority. Then the state licensing authority, they examine the documents, inspect of infrastructure, inspect of the distribution of different sections of the laboratory, the manpower, the reference standards, the books and the testing manuals, all those things. Then they make the proposal to the central government that okay, this whole exercise is complete, application is complete, all the documents are complete, joint inspection could be made. So then the central inspector and the state inspector, they make the inspection and they give the report. On the basis of that report, either the application is rejected or accepted, and this recognition or approval is given, and the license is given for 3 years. So as on date, 59 laboratories in the country, they are recognized. And if you see on the state side, the role of the state government is just to enforce the provisions, not to make any provisions, not to make any rules. The rules are made by the central government. The regulatory provisions, they are made by the central government. So in case of act, it is done with the approval of the parliament, and in case of rules, it is made by a consultative process. It is done by the ministry. And for homeopathy medicines, it is done by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, because the homeopathic medicines, they are still under the control of Drug Technical Advisory Board, which is under the this Drug Controller General of India. Right? It is not with the ministry. But in case of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Drug Technical Advisory Board, we place that. Now we have made a proposal to the government, and this has been agreed that even the homeopathy medicine, their issues, their technical matters, their policy matters, their regulatory matters will also be considered by the Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Drug Technical Advisory Board, and we have set up a committee of homeopathy experts, and on the basis of recommendations of that committee, the homeopathy drug-related issues that will also be considered by the Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Drug Technical Advisory Board. And just last week, we have written to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare that all notifications related to homeopathy drugs that should also be issued by the Ministry of Ayush, because when all the other things related to homeopathy are controlled by the Ministry of Ayush, I think it should not be with some other institution like the Ministry of Health or and why we have said that, because soon we are going to have our regulatory officers, regulatory posts filled up in the CDSU. So this is. So at the state government level, state government is responsible to enforce the legal provisions, whether it is the provisions of the Act or whether the provisions of the rules, all have to be enforced by the state government. And for that purpose, they appoint licensing authorities, they appoint drug controllers, they appoint drug inspectors. But unfortunately, if you see the number of inspectors in the country for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, and homeopathy, it is very, very negligible. Very, very negligible. I think even on the allopathic side, the number of inspectors, that is very less. Very less. If you see the structure, regulatory structure of Health Canada, in the Health Canada, in the natural plant division, natural product division, of Health Canada. Health Canada is this is a regulatory body in the Ministry of Health there in Canada. 2,000 inspectors are there. I think we don't have 2,000 across the country, including Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, homeopathic inspectors and Ayurvedic. We don't have 2,000. So this is the thing. And most of the work that is additional responsibility has been, even to the licensing authority. The state directors, they are the licensing authority. The inspectors, the district officers, without any training, without any orientation, they have been given this regulatory responsibility. This is, I think, this is really unfortunate, and I think that is one of the problems that why these regulations they are not enforced. So there is a problem with the enforcement of the standard also, because now in big states like in Karnataka, I think 700, 584 or 600 manufacturing units are there. Only 2 inspectors are there. So one inspector is sitting in the headquarters and one in the field. Now the person in the field, he usually go to more times to the court than to the manufacturing. So this is a problem. So we need regulatory manpower, more and more regulatory. And I think once we have this trained manpower from the pharmacy side, pharmacists, pharmacy experts, B Pharma or M Pharma, I think that gap is going to be bridged. Then the drug testing laboratory, this is the responsibility of the state government to set up a drug testing laboratory. 27 drug testing laboratories have been set up by the state government in the country. And apart from that, we have also given direction to the state government that if you don't have the state or the government laboratory, at least you must have some laboratory which is recognized as a drug and property. So 59 laboratories are there in the country, but they are not evenly distributed. Many of the states, they still do not have any laboratory, either their own laboratory or any private laboratory. Then the approval and the licensing of the drug testing laboratory is also done by the state government, but with the concurrence or with the approval of the state central authority. Then you might be thinking that how these rules are made, how the regulatory provisions are made. The government itself does not make any rules, but on the advice of, if there is a statutory body, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Drug Technical Advisory Body. Similarly, there is Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Drugs Consultative Committee. These are the 2 statutory bodies under the provisions of the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, which advise the central government that, okay, what kind of regulatory provisions are required, what kind of standards are required. So accordingly, that recommendation is given to the Pharmacopoeia Committee, that is given to the Pharmacopoeia Commission, and then they develop the standards accordingly. And those kinds of things are then imposed, and then they are brought in the rules, and then those are notified, and then those are enforced. So, Drug Consultative Committee and the Ayurveda Siddha Unani Drug Technical Advisory Board, these are the 2 statutory bodies to give advice to the central government as well as to the state government. For the state government, it is for the purpose of enforcement, but to the central government for the purpose of making the regulation or amending the regulation. So that advice is given for technical matters, for the policy matters, as well as for the enforcement issues. That advice is given to the central government. And then for homeopathy, as I told you, there was a small subcommittee of homeopathy. Now this subcommittee has been repealed. Now we have an expert committee of homeopathy, and that has been set up by the Ministry of Health. And that committee is going to report to the Ayurveda Siddha Unani Drug Technical Advisory Board, means that is totally under the control of the Ministry of Health. So this is the overall regulatory framework in our country. Now soon, I think within a year, I am expecting that within a year, we are going to have within this regulatory framework some framework for pharmacy education and pharmacy profession. So that is also going to be the part of this framework. Now we have also some certification systems, quality certification systems for the products, because these systems these are required because to have the credible products in the market and to facilitate the export of products. So, as Mr. Ranjit Puranik told you all, that since 2002, our GMP provisions, those have not been revised, those not have been amended, or those not have been augmented. So, we set up a committee about 1.5 years back. That committee, the report has come that, and that is for the for the enhancement of the provisions of the GMP to make it comparable with the WHO GMP or to make it comparable with the Schedule M of the allopathic side GMP. And presently, there is another WHO certification system is there, that is WHO GMP and COPP. Very interesting thing has happened in this area. So previously, there was no WHO GMP manufacturing unit of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani. So in 2010, when I was in, I got the opportunity to work in WHO system. So I proposed this idea that let us have WHO GMP and COPP system for our Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani products and and we had series of consultations with that DCGI because DCGI is the implementer of this scheme. They are implementing this scheme. They are administering this scheme. So at that point of time, I think Mr. Ranjit Panik is aware of that thing. Mr. Shiv Basant was our joint secretary and he agreed and we pushed it. And soon, I think just at the beginning of 2011, we started this WHO GMP and COPP system for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani. And I am happy that in the last 10 years, today, as on today, 23 Ayurveda companies, they are WHO GMP. And they are exporting to more than 105 countries. Because many of the countries, even small countries like Nepal, Bangladesh, they are also asking for this COPP. They are also looking for COPP, is certification of pharmaceutical products. So, this WHO GMP is a global system. So, the country, whoever has adopted this system, so once you get the stamp that, okay, this company is WHO GMP certified, and from the WHO GMP certified manufacturing unit, if this product is certified as a pharmaceutical product, it means no other check and balance is required. No other check is required. That single certificate is sufficient. No other certificate is required for the importing country. So this is the thing. So this is a very, very facilitatory system for export of products, particularly if the products are to go to other countries as health products. Health products. The fact of the matter is that our products are manufactured in our country under the provisions of the Drug Act. But our products, hardly they are going as drugs. They are going as either food supplement, dietary supplements, or OTC health products or like that, because unless they fit into the regulatory requirements of the importing country, they cannot be exported. So the intended use of the product, it changes. The same is not the case of allopathic drugs. But in our case, for Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drug, we say it's a drug, but practically for the purpose of export, it is not a drug. Because as drug does not fit into the definition of drug. Because the regulatory provisions they are in the importing country, they are very stringent. We fail to provide the complete dossier of the product as a drug. So that is why our products they are going either food supplements, either dietary supplements, or other normal health products, OTC products. Sometimes I've been surprised. Just 1.5 years back, I got an invitation from Doha government, from Qatar government, that you must impart training to our officers, regulatory officers, because they are not aware of what Ayurveda drugs are, Ayurveda products are. Because many of the products, Ayurveda products and the homeopathic products, they were flooded in the Qatar market. So how to check the quality? How to regulate that? So I went there on the recommendations of WHO, and we imparted a 3 days training to 20 officers there, and right from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And when they saw our regulations, they say, your regulations are perfect. I say, our regulations are perfect, but the enforcement is not perfect. Enforcement is not perfect. So now they are in the process of making their regulations as per our regulations, and that will help in the export of our products. Now, in UAE, more than 450 Ayush doctors they are practicing there. I had a meeting with those practitioners. From where you are getting the medicine? So, 2, 3 practitioners they stood up, and one told me that not even a single Unani medicine is registered in UAE. Not even a single. So, then how you are managing? How you are managing your patients? There is a provision in the UAE regulations that even the herb, if it is registered, so that herb can be prescribed. And if you are prescribing that herb, which is registered for market authorization for sale, it means you will get the insurance reimbursement also. So they are surviving, they are doing their practice just on the basis of the herbs which are available in the UAE market. And same thing with other Ayurveda formulations. Also, Ayurveda practitioners, they simply prescribe the herbs, and those in UAE, the herb is registered, the formulation is registered, the seller is registered, and the practitioner is registered. So, if a registered practitioner make a prescription of a product which is already registered, then you can get the insurance coverage. Otherwise, not. And you cannot prescribe a product which is not registered yet. So their rules and regulations are very clear, very simple, straightforward. So UAE, Middle Eastern countries, and the other neighboring countries, Central Asian countries, I think these are the virgin land for Ayurveda Siddha. I think Ayurveda Siddha Unani must penetrate that market, must penetrate. But for that we need our manufacturers, our exporters, they need to produce the dossiers as per their requirement. So that is not happening. After coming back from Qatar, I had a meeting with the United manufacturer, and in Mumbai also we had one WHA workshop I think in the month of January. There also, because there is a lot of opportunities are there. Now I think with this pharmacy experts, I think all these issues these can be addressed when we have the training and all. Another voluntary certification system that is this QCI, as Mr. Ranjit Panik also pointed out, that is Ayush Standard Mark and Ayush Premium Mark. So these two, but all these are voluntary, and there are other ISO certification systems for the process, and there are so many other systems are also there. And if you see the export value of our traditional medicine, it is hardly, we got this information from the Pharmaxil. It is 111 US million dollars in 2015-16, and products, not the raw material. And 2016-17 it was 123 and then 144 US million dollars. But our products, they are going in different categories. No, as the Ayush medical products. So this export value, it can be enhanced to a large extent. It can be enhanced to a large extent. Eh? And for medicinal plant material, I think India is number one in the export of the medicinal plant material. Previously, 10 years back, 7 years back, it was at number 7. So after this efforts of the National Medicinal Plant Board and this cultivation of the medicinal plant on large scale, commercial scale, that has started happening. So with that, good quality raw material that is going out of it. Our domestic industry, because presently hardly 20% of the material that is coming from the cultivated. 75 to 80% is still coming from the wild, from the forest. Right? So again, there is a challenge to the quality of the material, because that is coming from different places, different harvesting time, different storage practices, and then the transportation practices. So we are facing many problems. Our industry is facing many problems, particularly this quality raw material, and we are trying to address through policy interventions like this Biological Diversity Act. Now, in the Biological Diversity Act, it is very difficult to use the bioresources. You will have to pay this ABS, access and benefit sharing, to make the use of these bioresources. So, for the last more than 50 years, we are grappling with this issue, and we have taken up matter with the Ministry of Environment, Forest, and National Biodiversity Board. And I think there is a direction that some changes will be made in the National Biological Diversity Act as well as the rule. I think that would be most suitable for the Ayush industry. No, friends, this is the thing, and if you see the background of the standardization and the regulation of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, that as I told you that the first pharmacopoeia committee was set up in 1962, then in 1964 the Unani pharmacopoeia committee, Siddha pharmacopoeia committee, first time it was set up in 1975, and then this thing, homeopathy pharmacopoeia committee. And these are the standard setting bodies. Just for the information of all the participants here, that the pharmacopoeia laboratory for Indian medicine, it was set up in 1975, and then homeopathy pharmacopoeia laboratory. Initially, these laboratories were set up for setting the standard. These were not the regulatory laboratories. These were the pharmacopoeial standard setting body. But later on, these laboratories were incorporated in the drugs and cosmetic group, and these were notified as the affiliate laboratories. Now, these laboratories have become part of the Pharmacopoeia Commission for Indian Medicine now. Since 3rd June 2020, when the cabinet accorded approval to this new structure, that the Pharmacopoeia Commission of Indian Medicine and Homeopathy, this will be the subordinate office of the ministry. Previously, it was autonomous. Now it is part of the ministry. It is a subordinate office of the ministry, and I think you will see many new changes in the functioning and many new changes in meeting the objectives of the Pharmacopoeia Commission. And we will try to go with the global trends. We will try to harmonize our standards with the global standards so that our products they can penetrate the international market. These are the standards published so far. Now the difficult part is that whatever we are doing, we have very less expertise, and we are not going to take any input from outside. Because if we are developing standards for Ayurveda drugs, it means we have to do only, not the other person. It becomes very difficult to fix the standards. So the pharmacopoeia committee or the higher body, they do not agree, and then standards are not. So till date only, you just see 202 formulations. Their standards are given in part 2 of the pharmacopoeia, and 645 single drugs, their standards are given in the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia part 1. Whereas we say that okay, we have around 1200 medicinal plants which are commonly used in Ayurveda. Our industry is using, I think, around 1200 medicinal plants. But if you see the standards, so in that case, what to do? You have to be your in-house standard. So who will prepare the in-house standards? Again, the pharmacy experts are there. Because I mean, if they are working in the manufacturing units, if they are working in the quality control institutions, so only then they will help in developing those in-house standards in the same template, in the same format as we have for the other drugs in the pharmacopoeia. So this is the situation, and this is the background of pharmacy profession. I think very rightly pointed out by Mr. Ranjit Puranik that initially practitioner, he was oriented in always. वो जो है वो जीएससीपी का भी कंप्लाइंट था, गुड एग्रीकल्चर प्रैक्टिस को मालूम था कि कौन सी जड़ी बूटी जो है कब जो है उसको हार्वेस्ट करना है, कैसे उसको रखना है, कैसे उससे दवाई बनानी है. तो जीएमपी कंप्लायंस वगैरह सब कुछ वही करता था. तो मींस इट वाज ए फर्स्ट पार्टी कंप्लायंस, सब कुछ वही करता था. एवरीथिंग रिलेटेड टू प्रिस्क्रिप्शन, related to preparation of the drug, harvesting of the ingredient, and storing of the ingredient, how to prepare them, everything used to be done by the practitioner. So there was a Vaidya-patient direct relation. Now, then after some time, as Dr. Chaudhary pointed out, that it was only in the concept of this pharmacy, it was initially came in Charangdar Singh. Very true. It is very true. Followed by practice second party oriented. Means if you see the symptomatic treatment, I think it is for the first time it is there in Charangdar Singh. Charangdar Singh and Yog Ratnakar. Previously it was not there. It was only Siddhantik Chikitsa. So that helped this Vaidya and other Vaidya. One Vaidya used to prepare the medicine, he used to give it to the other Vaidya or to the other healthcare facility. जैसे मान लो एक कोई किंग है और उस किंग ने जो है कोई वहां पे एक हेल्थ सेंटर बनाया, फ्रॉम वेयर द मेडिसिन विल कम. तो वो ये थर्ड पार्टी वाला जो कंसेप्ट है ये काफी बाद में आया. I think it came in late 18th century and 19 early 19th century. So then the commerce and trade oriented third party sale and marketing started. So then the regulation. When the things are in the third party hands, so we need to regulate the thing. So the regulation is there. But still we don't have any regulations for this pharmacy education and the pharmacy profession, but we are working on that. And the emerging scenario, as Mr. Puranik I think emphasized from the perspective of industry, that R&D is required. We need to adopt global technologies. If we want to globalize our traditional knowledge, we have to adopt the global technology. So localization of the global technology and globalization of the local health technology. I think that should be the tagline with which we should move forward. So R&D and international trends oriented approach, that is the emerging scenario. And for that, the practitioner, the practice, the product manufacturers, right, it is regulated. So far it is regulatory effort. But the pharmacy profession, practice of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani and homeopathy is pharmacy practice. Pharmacy practice. It is not regulated science. Not regulated science. It is at the university level or by some other bodies like AICT or others. And if you see why there is this long-standing need for this, because we need trained pharmacy manpower for the teaching institution. We don't have pharmacy experts in our Ayurveda colleges. Even in the pharmacopoeia commission, when I took over the charge of director there, I was surprised. Okay, we are working for the standard. We don't have the pharmacy officer there. So now I have made a proposal that we have at least 2-3 pharmacy experts should be there. M pharma or B pharma for Ayurveda side from homeopathy side. So teaching institutions, we need pharmacists, means the pharmacy experts for hospital dispensary, whether in the government sector or in the private sector, who are giving medicine, who are mixing the medicine, how those medicines are stored or kept. I don't know. Right? Because without training, without any formal institutional training, they have been given this responsibility to put the medicine. Then for innovation, for research and development, for new dosage form, for adoption of contemporary drug delivery system, and for adoption of new technology, who will help us out? All the trained pharmacy manpower. And for manufacturing also, for quality control also. So presently, if you see the GMP, the provisions for Ayurveda, Siddha, the 2 persons are required. One for the production side and one for the quality control side. Many of the manufacturing, they are not aware of this. They are having only one person. So he doing the job, doing the production also, and the same person is certifying that okay, it is okay. So judge and jury is same. Right? So for farmer and the judge is same. Right? So this is it. So we need 2 persons in the manufacturing units. So one on the production side, under whose supervision the manufacturing will be done, and one that product is manufactured, then that product will go to the quality control for quality check. Right? But presently, only for the name of that okay, one person is there only. But as per even our regulatory officers, even our inspectors, they are not aware of this. So lot of regulatory ignorance is there. Lot of regulatory ignorance is there. We are not well versed with the regulatory provision. What is there in the rule? What is there in the regulatory provision? Our stakeholders, they are not. So once you are indulged in manufacturing, once you are indulged in the trade of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani drugs or products, I think first of all, daily I get 2 or 3 phone calls with some reference either from the minister's office or someone that okay, please guide this person. So when I put the first question, okay, what is your qualification? They say, I am this MBA. Okay, I have this formula and this. This is not Ayurveda product. People do not know what is Ayurveda product. What is the legally how Ayurveda product should be defined? I don't know. Similarly, these days, I think there is a lot of hue and cry about this hemp products, cannabis products, because a lot of products they are coming from USA, cannabinoids. They are saying that, okay, give us Ayurveda license. How this kind of blood can be given Ayurveda license? Unless it fits into the definition of Ayurveda, legal definition. And the four parameters which are very important in the drugs and cosmetic rule, that okay, first is the product must meet the definition of Ayurveda Siddha. Simple thing. Means either the formulation or the ingredients which you are using in your products, that should be from the authoritative book. If even a single ingredient of the formulation, if it is not from the authoritative book, it means you cannot claim that it's there with the product. You cannot. Second requirement is it must meet the standards as given in the formula. Okay, if the standards are not there, you will have to give your enough standards. Third requirement is the proof of safety and effectiveness. The proof of safety and effectiveness, it could be of three forms. Either, like suppose if you are saying that okay, it is Pramehar, Nisha Amlaki Yog Pramehar, no problem. You just give the reference that okay, Nisha Amlaki is mentioned in Charak Sahinta at this page number and this is the indication mentioned. No problem. But if you are saying that Nisha Amlaki is hypoglycemic, no, that authoritative reference will not be sufficient. You will have to give the reference either from the scientific literature or some clinical trial data. Without that, you cannot put that claim that it is hypoglycemic. So that is why if you see the drugs and cosmetic rule 158B, for the classical formulation, there are three requirements. Means classical formulation with classical claims. Okay, no problem. No safety, no. But if it is a new dosage form, like Prifravati is there in the classical books, but Prifravati is not there. But if you are saying that okay, Prifravati is allowed as classical, under 3A it is allowed, but you will have to give the evidence of its application. Then the new indication. Not this COVID-19, it is a new indication. So for the new indication, the clinical trial is required. The pilot study or clinical study is required. From where you will generate? Because this is not documented already. It is not documented. So all these claims which are coming in the newspapers, in the magazines, and in the social media that okay, COVID का बना दिया हमने वो बना दिया. I think scientific data is required. And secondly, once you say COVID, it means it has to be antiviral. Antiviral COVID-19 virus. Immunity, if anything is immunity boosting, it does not mean that it is anti-COVID. So these are the things which are required. And now, if you see, you just see, I think this point was well tested by Dr. Chaudhary. In our country, we have around 45 institutions which are conducting different kind of pharmacy courses, Ayurveda pharmacy course. कहीं पे जो है 6 महीने का चल रहा है, कहीं पे 1 साल का चल रहा है सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स, कहीं पे डिप्लोमा चल रहा है 2 साल का, कहीं पे जो है डिग्री कोर्स चल रहा है. डिग्री कोर्स वाली जो है सिर्फ 4-5 इंस्टीट्यूशन है. एक जो है पंजाब में है, एक जैसे BHU का है, एक ये जामनगर का सबसे पुराना है, और एक जो है कल्याणी में जो है वेस्ट बंगाल में है, और शायद एक शायद जयपुर में भी अभी शुरू हुआ है, पर वो 2 साल वाला है कोर्स है. तो राजस्थान में जो कोर्स चलते हैं वहाँ पे क्या है कि आप देखिए वहाँ पे लिखा है नर्सिंग एंड कंपाउंडर कोर्स. मैंने उसको भी इसको में इंक्लूड किया. यूनानी के जो है देयर आर ओनली 3 इंस्टीट्यूशन इन द कंट्री व्हिच आर कंडक्टिंग सम डिप्लोमा कोर्स, और एक तो जामिया अहमद में है, एक शायद जामिया मिलिया इस्लामिया में, और एक शायद कहीं और है. ठीक है. सिद्धा के हार्डली 2 इंस्टीट्यूट, होम्योपैथी के 9 इंस्टीट्यूट, और यहाँ से जो एनुअल जो क्या कहते हैं जो आउटकम है, मतलब कितने लोग बाहर आ रहे हैं ट्रेंड जो है, सो कॉल्ड ट्रेंड 2483. So only 59 institutions are there, and most of these institutions they are conducting only certificate course, 1 year, Ayurveda pharmacy or Unani pharmacy, also like that. So there is lot of diversity, and if you see the contents of the course curriculum, they are also very different. They are not standardized. In case of B Pharma and M Pharma, most of the institutions, hardly 5 are there. They are following each other. Means they are based on their course curriculum. They are based on the course curriculum developed by Jamnagar Institute, Pharmaceutical Institute. So this is the situation. And we also estimated that how much is the requirement of the pharmacy manpower in the country. We have government hospital 3,903. So at least one hospital we require 2 pharmacy experts, which means 7,886. We have 28,196 government dispensaries in the country. it means at least one pharmacy expert is required in each dispensary. Then we have co-located facility 15,543. So, and I think this figure now it has reached around 20,000. So 20,000 is required because some of the facilities they are in the hospital. So in the hospital, at least 2 pharmacy experts are required. Then in the teaching hospital, we have around 698. Now the number has gone up to 712. It means 712 teaching hospitals, they need pharmacy experts, institutionally qualified, properly trained experts. Then in the teaching side also, we equal number, but in the teaching hospital, at least three pharmacy experts are required because the round the clock duty in the hospital, morning shift, evening shift, night shift, pharmacy expert. If you see in the allopathic side, these pharmacy expert is also required. Then licensed manufacturing units. So at least 2 persons are required, one on the production side, one on the quality control side. So we have 9,038 licensed manufacturing units, and the requirement is just the double. And then the Ayush drug regulatory persons. So at least in each state, under each regulatory authority, 10 inspectors are required. So across the country, 350 to 360 those are required minimum. And then in the private sector, those who are selling. This is the estimate. This is the estimate. So means at least presently we need around 3,27,300 pharmacy experts, those who are properly trained. But what we are doing, we are putting our BMS doctors, we are putting those persons, those who are working with the doctors, and they become the pharmacist or the compounder. Right? So very few people, as Mr. Ranjit pointed out, that there is no need for the time being to induce this sale life. I fully agree with that. I am also not in favor of that. But we need to know how many sellers are there in the country. How many sellers of Ayurveda? We don't know. Even the pan shop, you will get a Ayurvedic medicine. So do you think that Ayurveda medicine should be sold from a pan shop? Can you imagine this? You will get Trifla from there. You will get that Kavachar Goli. You think like that. So there would be different levels of sellers. There will be sellers who are selling prescription products. So definitely there will be a categorization that okay, who can sell the prescription product, right? So we are not laying down any qualification, but this registration of the seller is required. So that I am sitting in the ministry for the last 20 years, right? I was a practitioner in CGHS. Now still many senior officers they come to me. When I give the prescription, their first question is, डॉक्टर साहब ये दवाई कहाँ से मिलेगी? मतलब उनको ये भी पता नहीं है कि देयर कुड बी आयुर्वेदा ड्रग सेलर आल्सो. वो कहते कहाँ से मिलेगी? और अगर नहीं पूछते हैं तो वो ले जाते हैं, अगले दिन फोन आ जाता है, डॉक्टर साहब ये दवाई तो मिली. तो कहने का मतलब है अगर हमें ये मालूम हो कि हु आर द सेलर, वी कैन पुट इन द वेबसाइट स्टेट वाइज. तो कम से कम जो कंज्यूमर्स हैं, लोग हैं, उनको पता तो चलेगा कि from this shop they can purchase the medicine. अब बताइए जरा. Because of this ignorance, many people they are not switching over to Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani. This is also one of the reasons. Frankly speaking, they might be going to the practitioners, but the practitioners, those who are giving the अभी मेरे पास गुड़गांव के पेशेंट आते हैं, वो बाद में आना बंद कर देते हैं. वो कहते हैं डॉक्टर दवाई नहीं मिलती. वो कहते हैं दवाई लेने के लिए हम दिल्ली आएंगे क्या बार बार? और अगर मान लो क्या कहते हैं उसको वेबसाइट पे ऑनलाइन जो है ऑर्डर करना है, कुछ करना है, तो पता तो हो who is the seller. So that is why means my proposition is, my thought is that we must go for this registration of the sellers. We can categorize the sellers that okay, who could be the prescription product seller and who could be the other. That can be. And these are the objectives of the intended regulations. And just I tell you that we introduced one bill in 2005 in the parliament that was for regulation of pharmacy education and profession of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Homeopathy. And this was introduced in the parliament in Rajya Sabha on 23rd August 2005. But it was referred to a committee, parliamentary standing committee. And the report of the committee, it came in 2006. And in that report, there were around more than 40-50 comments, observations, some objections, some suggestions. So when we started working on that, in the meantime, there was a conscious decision of the government that we will have only one umbrella regulatory body in the country, that was in the name of National Commission for Human Resources in Health. And similarly, National Commission for Human Resources in Health. I think many of you might be remembering that in 2008-9, this concept was there in mind, but it did not fructify, it did not materialize. So, and this decision, it came quite late. It came in 2013 that, okay, we will not go for the commission, because series of consultations, series of meetings with the parliamentary committee, and it was not agreed. And then in 2013, the government dropped the idea of national commission, and it was decided to withdraw the bill. उस वक्त ये decide किया कि इसको चलो हम modify करेंगे और नए ढंग से बनाएंगे. Then we started working on a fresh bill, and then we were advised that, okay, we must consult Pharmacy Council of India, and if the provisions for Ayush pharmacy could be included in the Pharmacy Act 1948, I think that could be a better proposition, because then there would not be any need to set up a new structure, because already the structure is there. Only the elements of Ayush pharmacy, those could be controlled, those could be regulated if we have those provisions. So the Pharmacy Council, they declined. They did not agree. And similarly, the Ministry of Health, the pharmacy division is there, means who controls this Pharmacy Council. So they did not agree. So possibility explored to create a separate Ayush pharmacy board, just like National Council of this National Commission of Indian Medicine. There is a provision of a board. So we suggested to them, we recommended to them that let us have a separate Ayush pharmacy board under this Pharmacy Council of India. So because this area is interdisciplinary, this is not standalone Ayush. It is interdisciplinary area. Pharmacy in Ayush is a interdisciplinary area. So let us have no. It was not turned on. It was not materialized. So then again we were. So means you just think of me, means for the last 5-6 years, means this snake is in my neck. वो निकल नहीं रहा. Or every time we get new instructions, new suggestions, new objections, and word by word, line by line, we have to change the whole thing. And this work cannot be given to some other person, because we will not understand what happened in the past. Right? So accordingly, revised bill provisions have been made on the lines of the NCIM bill. Now this is the latest, but still the approval is pending. Once we get the approval, then it will go to the cabinet, and once it is approved by the cabinet, then it will be introduced in that. So this is the thing. But the trained manpower is required for drug sector, and this requirement of trained manpower, it is different from the requirement of the pharmacy. As Mr. Puranik told, and as Professor Chaudhary told, that our requirement of the manpower is different from the requirement of the pharmacy. Because add-on knowledge, add-on training, that is required. Apart from Ayurveda pharmacy, we also need to have training on the elements of modern pharmacy technology. So that's also required. Because if we want to indulge in R&D, we want to do innovation, to use the global technology, emerging trends. So training on all those things have to be given to our Ayurveda, Unani, and pharmacy graduates and to the so the objective which we have kept in our mind in the pharmacy bill, which we are going to propose, that to set up a central pharmacy council, we'll have a central body. Then there will be a small state pharmacy council, only of 3 officers, one administrator, one registrar, and one the chairman, and this will be responsible just to make a register of the pharmacists. Means whosoever want to go into the profession of pharmacy, he will have to get registered. So that work will be given to the state pharmacy council. Otherwise, we will not have a big paraphernalia like we have state board and a state office or like that. Another is to appoint pharmacy development officer. So again, since as on date, the Ayush pharmacy education and the profession is not regulated. So from where these officers will come? So we will take those persons, mainly from the teaching institute, the professors, they will help. They will help the state regulatory body, the state regulatory council, and the central the council, pharmacy council, to make the inspections and to recommend that okay, what kind of course curricula, what kind of training requirements need to be put for these. So those will, that is why we have not given the name that the drug inspector or the pharmacy inspector. We have taken pharmacy inspector because we want to develop the pharmacy sector of Ayurveda. So that is why we are designating them pharmacy development officers, both at the central level as well as at the state pharmacy level. And then the responsibility to be given to these two bodies to maintain the central register and to and at the state level also state. So these are the things. With this, I conclude my presentation. For me to sharing my views as a policymaker, and again thankful to the organizers, Dr. Bodha, Dr. Bodha, and all the convener also, and the chairman and the vice chancellor of the university, and my colleagues, particularly Professor Chaudhary and Mr. Ranjit. I think they have given a lot of inputs, and I have picked up many points, and I think those would be on my slate of work. Thank you very much.
For your in-depth, detailed speech on entire facets, covering entire facets of regulatory body. And we are having some queries, and I would like to give the information to all those participants who are asking the queries that your queries will be answered soon. Once this session will be over, we will come to you and we'll solve your queries. And now, due to we are running out of time, I would like to call upon Dr. Vasudhata Kothari ma'am for the vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
Namaskar. It is with pleasure that myself, Dr. Vasudhata Kothari, present the vote of thanks to the dignitaries of the university and today's webinar. We are highly obliged to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Anup Thakur Sir, and Registrar Shri H.P. Chala for their consistent guidance and support. It is an honor to extend our courtesies to the guest speakers, each a stalwart in his field. We are obliged to Professor A.K. Chaudhary Sir for his informative speech. As rightly said, he is an institution by himself. We thank Shri Ranjit Puranik Sir for sharing the industrial views, enriching us with his in-depth knowledge of Ayurved pharmacy. We are extremely grateful to Dr. D.C. Katot Sir for his valuable speech, enlightening us with his vast in-depth knowledge. We thank the staff and technical members, especially Mr. Biju John and Mr. Uday Donga. Last but not the least, I convey gratitude on behalf of my colleagues and myself to our young and dynamic principal, Dr. Joban Moda Sir, who made this event possible and has keen interest in developing the institute at a global platform. Herewith, this session is over, but do not forget to join us from now onwards for Pharma Comments, cultural event, and alumni function. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, organizers, for giving me all the opportunities. On behalf of every speaker, we extend our cordial gratitude to you all and wish you all the best for a bright future.
Thank you, Chaudhary. Thank you, Karan sir, for very informative speech, sir. So, sir, you have really taken very good efforts. And of course, as I told, Ranjit Puranik sir is, industrialist academician. So, all three talks were great, beyond expectation. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.